Peter has been asking himself with frustration. In his 60s, he's come from his farm into Jamestown to the hotel he used to manage, the Consulate. Once the hub of the town, its golden era is now the stuff of legend. The place is a character in its own right. Its dining room is made from the wreck of a ship. The wooden floors of the ballroom marked by the ladies' heels from fancy dinners and dances of years gone by. But it's closed. Now it's a time capsule, with half-full decanters of liquor in the rooms and stacks of the Sentinel newspaper in the library. The number of guests dwindled, the jobs disappeared, and the locals moved on. Peter worries the rest of the island could follow. As victorious election candidates celebrated being voted on to the island's council, they were well aware of the challenges ahead. Saints themselves, they know the island's weak points, and now they have the power to nourish and nurture it. Amelia from the courthouse has a daughter, Selena. She finished studying at the island's only secondary school just a few years ago. She has been working with environmental scientists here and studying the subject at night, working towards a degree. The island's beauty and wildlife have opened her eyes, inspired her. But, like her mum, it's made her want to travel overseas and see what else the world has to offer. But she still has St. Helena in her heart. Give me 2 terms, Selena says of the political timetable. 2 terms, and then maybe I'll come back, and maybe I'll run for office.
Beth Rose. I'm Pascal Harter. The producer was Polly Hope. And you can hear more dispatches from around the world by searching for From Our Own Correspondent on bbc.com. We'll be back again next weekend with more of the real lives behind the global headlines. So please do join us again here on the BBC World Service.
That was the BBC programme From Our Own Correspondent. I'm Saroja Coelho. Have a great day.
Good morning, Manitoba, and hello, Winnipeg. Thanks for joining us here on Information Radio. We're live in downtown Winnipeg at our CBC studios. My name is Marcy Marcusa here with our show team. You're on 89.3 FM, 990 AM on that app and on YouTube. Well, we do have some rain coming for Winnipeg, 10 to 15 millimeters expected. It's already raining up in the Paw. It's also already raining over in Dauphin. Current temperature this Monday morning, 7 degrees in Winnipeg for this Monday, October 20th. It is cloudy and 6 over in Brandon, and up in Thompson, it's mostly cloudy and 1 degree. Brandon, by the way, your rain should end early this morning, and then a high of 7. Winnipeg's high with the rain is going to be also 7. And then in Thompson, a cloudy day ahead and a high of 4. There's Corey Funky, directs the show. Hello, Corey. Corey also will be covering your commute, covering your weather forecast, and behind the controls, Mr. Abby Adiyemi. Morning, Abby. And good morning to Darren Marash, who is our YouTube producer. If you're watching the stream there, say hello. All right, let's get into the news. 3 minutes to 6 o'clock. Here's Heather Walls. Hi, Heather.
Good morning. Well, the head of Doctors Manitoba calls 33 doctors coming from the United States a welcome change. Dr. Nichelle Desolé at Doctors Manitoba says they led a recruitment campaign in several states after the 2024 U.S. election, and now 6 American doctors have arrived or are moving, and more than 30 are in different stages of exploring the opportunities. So we'll hear more about that. And a silver alert has been issued for an 83-year-old Winnipeg woman. Carol Thompson is missing, last seen in the Westwood area around 11:30 yesterday morning. We'll tell you a little more about her in our next local news coming up at 6:30.
All right. Thank you, Heather.
Thank you.
Well, we have a panel on today that I bet a lot of you will be able to relate to. It's about the sandwich generation. That means you're taking care of aging parents and your kids at the same time. 2 Manitobans are going to talk to us about their stories and why they see that more support is needed to help them. And this was prompted by us doing stories on the healthcare system and the challenges with home care for those who need it. In addition, today, we're going to take you over to Salome Mission. They're going to be very busy. They're cooking up a surprise for International Chef's Day. Cat's out of the bag now, I know, but we'll find out what they're busy with and who they're going to be feeding today, so stay tuned for that. And in the first hour of the show, local Muslims were thrilled to attend the official opening of Winnipeg's first Nigerian community mosque over the weekend. CBC's Gavin Axelrod was there and got some of the reaction, and we'll hear that after World Report.
On cue. Long Long is one of the most influential classical pianists in the world. He's been on Time's list of the 100 most influential people. He's got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. He'll be here to talk about his new record, reimagining some of the most famous pieces in classical music, and his thoughts on AI in music.
It's not perfect, it just doesn't make wrong notes.
Q with Tom Power, this morning at 10:30 in Newfoundland, and on CBC Listen, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is World Report. Good morning, I'm Marcia Young. Immigration processing times are reaching heights in Canada that some people are calling shocking. It can be decades for some programs, and as the CBC's Priscilla Kisang Huang reports, there is concern the government may start cancelling applications.
We were shocked.
Olha Kushko's family applied for permanent residence this June under Canada's Humanitarian and Compassionate Program. Her family fled the Russia-Ukraine war to Canada in 2023, and they're ready to settle. But last week, they were among thousands who learned their processing time skyrocketed to more than 10 years, compared to around 2 years when they first applied.
I don't know how it's possible. I just hope that it's a big mistake.
But the new immigration minister, Lena Diab's transition documents paint a bleaker picture. For the humanitarian stream, new applicants face a wait of up to 50 years. And waits range from 19 to 35 years for other economic pathways. The minister's office says those numbers are not an error.
It's crazy.
Some lawyers suspect these unviable wait times, paired with the Liberals' pending border security bills like Bill C-12, which grant the minister sweeping powers, may lead to mass cancellations by the government of applications already in queue. Immigration lawyer Stephen Mearns.
And for it to just balloon to 50 years is unheard of in the Canadian immigration context. Part of why they may be being quiet about it is because the solution involves Bill C-12, and they know the panic and reaction that will cause.
To that, the minister's spokesperson Laura Blondo said,
"Well, we can't presuppose any future policy decision."
The Immigration Department told CBC the Kushko's wait time is approximately 10 years, leaving them helpless and worried for what comes next. Priscilla Kisang Huang, CBC News, Ottawa.
U.S. President Donald Trump insists the Gaza ceasefire is still intact, despite Israeli airstrikes on Sunday. Trump says the Hamas leadership may not have been involved with violations claimed by Israel's military.
They've been quite rambunctious. They've been doing some shooting, and we think maybe the leadership isn't involved in that, some rebels within. But either way, it's going to be handled toughly but properly.
Israel says it hit Hamas targets across Gaza. Health officials in the territory say 44 people were killed. Today, Israel says it is adhering to the ceasefire and allowing aid back into Gaza. Trucks line up at the Rafah border crossing loaded with food, medicine, and other emergency aid. The UN's Palestinian Refugee Agency says some deliveries have resumed. Yesterday, Israel threatened to cut off aid shipments, but the agency says that aid is well below what is needed. Trump's son-in-law and Middle East advisor says helping Gazans is good policy for Israel. Jared Kushner spoke to CBS 60 Minutes.
The biggest message that we've tried to convey to the Israeli leadership now is that now that the war is over, if you want to integrate Israel with the broader Middle East, you have to find a way to help the Palestinian people thrive and do better.
Kushner and U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff are back in the region today. Observers say American pressure is needed to keep the ceasefire deal on track. Hundreds of workers who oversee the nuclear stockpile in the U.S. will be furloughed. About 1,400 workers at the National Nuclear Security Administration will be sent home in the ongoing government shutdown. Some experts are criticizing the move, saying many of these workers are essential to the safety and security of America's nuclear facilities. Willie Lowry is in Washington. And Willie, how will this furlough affect operations?
Well, everything will slow down. In its 25-year history, the National Nuclear Security Administration, a semi-autonomous organization under the Department of Energy, has never had to furlough workers, making this uncharted territory. The organization is in charge of modernizing the country's nuclear stockpile. Any delay in work slows down that process. The NNSA is sending 80% of its workers home. That's a big number. According to Politico, some 375 employees who have been deemed essential will stay on the job, but the furloughs have many lawmakers concerned.
These are not employees that you want to go home. They're managing and handling a very important strategic asset for us. They need to be at work and being paid.
That was Republican Representative Mike Rogers from Alabama. Secretary of Energy Chris Wright is expected to address the staffing changes and their impact on national security later today.
Willie, we also understand there's a push to pay troops during the shutdown.
That's right. There are reports that Republicans are hoping to table a bill this week that would allow the government to pay some federal workers who are required to work even though the government is shut down. That would include members of the U.S. military. Last week, President Trump signed an order allowing the Pentagon to pay soldiers on October 15th using money from the Defense Department's research and development funds. But as the shutdown drags on, there will be fewer funds to draw from, and paying the troops will get harder. Later today, the Senate is expected to vote once again on the continuing resolution bill that, if passed, would fund the government for the next 7 weeks. They'll need 60 votes.
Thank you, Willie.
My pleasure.
The CBC's Willie Lowry in Washington. Some European foreign leaders are raising objections to a proposed meeting between U.S. President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin in Hungary. Europe's foreign policy chief says Putin should not be visiting any EU country. Lithuania's foreign minister says the only place in Europe for Putin is the International Criminal Court in The Hague. Putin faces an arrest warrant from the ICC. Hungary is still a signatory but is in the process of leaving. People in Bolivia have voted to end 20 years of socialist rule. They've elected a center-right president who is promising to fix the country's economic problems. Corey Weddle has more.
The center-right candidate prevailing in Bolivia's presidential elections, 58-year-old Senator Rodrigo Paz, defied polls to beat conservative veteran Jorge Tuto Quiroga. Bolivians have taken a first step towards transformation and renovation, he told supporters. For 2 decades, the country has been ruled by the Socialist MAS party, whose candidate failed to reach 4% of the vote in the first round of the election last August. Among the issues, a deepening economic crisis that has led to shortages of money and fuel. Paz says he hopes Bolivia will now be able to improve relations with other countries. After 20 years of being left out of the world economy and geopolitics, Bolivia would rejoin the world, Paz told his supporters. Paz portrayed himself as a more moderate option during the campaign in an attempt to appeal to disaffected Socialist Party voters who remain skeptical of the right. His running mate is a former police captain who ran a savvy social media campaign strong on law and order. Paz is now faced with leading the first democratic transition of power in decades. Carlos Casas, a Paz supporter, says his candidate is best suited to lead a peaceful transition. Cody Weddle for CBC News, La Paz, Bolivia.
A Canadian Tire customer in Newfoundland says a routine service stop turned into a highway emergency. Travis Jones says mechanics didn't use metal bolts to hold a key part of his car together. Instead, they used zip ties. Go Public's Rosa Marcatelli reports.
I was frightened to my near death.
Right after an oil change at a Canadian Tire in May 2023, Travis Jones says he knew something was very wrong.
I felt a violent shaking. It was like the car was being dragged backward.
Back at the shop in Clarenville, Newfoundland, staff found several metal bolts missing from the protective shield under Jones's Honda Civic. Bolts that are often removed during oil changes. But instead of replacing those metal bolts, staff used plastic zip ties to hold things together. Mark Whitten is a certified mechanic and safety expert.
That was an improper repair from the get-go.
Canadian Tire told Go Public they didn't have the bolts, so they used the zip ties as a short-term temporary solution. Jones says no one told him that. Months later, some snapped, dragging the metal cover on the pavement at highway speeds.
I lost full control and went out over the embankment.
Canadian Tire offered about $400 for a Honda dealership to replace the bolts. And months later, after the second incident, a few hundred more for that damage. But Jones would have to pay out of pocket first.
They should have been paying Honda directly. They shouldn't have expected me, a customer, to then pay for the repair that was needed because of their mistake.
Canadian Tire wouldn't say what training the staff who worked on Jones's car had, adding each location is independently owned and operated. Rosa Marcatelli, CBC News, Calgary.
Pause after that last story about the zip ties on the car that were a short-term fix. What a story. I'm Marcy Marcusa. Morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. You're listening to CBC. This is Information Radio on 89.3 FM, 990 AM on the app and on YouTube. Rain started in Winnipeg now. We are expecting quite a lot of it, 10 to 15 millimeters. And we're not the only place in Manitoba. So stay tuned. We'll get in the forecast in a moment for this Monday morning. This hour on the show, we're going to start with something joyful. A lot of local Muslims were thrilled to attend the official opening of Winnipeg's first Nigerian community mosque over the weekend. CBC's Gavin Axelrod was there. We'll bring you that story. Also this hour on the program, how you doing now that we're kind of getting to the end of October? Are you finding that quality time with the kids is getting harder to come by? Maybe you had more of it over the summertime. We have our family column, our parenting column coming up with how to schedule that. And also when it's important not to schedule everything. So stay tuned. We'll have that conversation. Always a good one. And then at 10 to 8 this morning, we'll have a closer look at new polling that dives into Canadians' feelings about immigration. You might have heard some of these results on World Report. Right now, though, let's go to Heather Wells with local headlines out of Manitoba. Good morning.
Good morning. Well, a Winnipeg family who has loved ones trapped in Gaza has been waiting nearly 2 years to bring them to Canada. Hafsa Abuasi and Walid Jad applied for temporary resident visas for Abuasi's parents and siblings under Canada's Special Measures Program for Palestinian refugees. They started that process in 2024, and they have been stuck at the security screening phase for more than a year. We'll hear what the holdup is. And a Norway House Cree Nation member is calling the report by the police watchdog into the shooting death of a teenager an injustice. More on that in our next local news coming up at 6:30.
All right. Thank you, Heather.
Thank you.
Let's get into this weather now. We just saw conditions change across the province. Abby, what's up now?
Yes, Marcy, I'm already tracking the rain at the airport, and it's coming this way already. It's going to be more like a damp one, rain falling through much of southern Manitoba today, and we'll see cloudy conditions. It's kind of lighter in the northern part of the province, but it will still stay unsettled. Just a little change in temperature we'll see across board today. In Winnipeg right now, we're looking at cloudy conditions, the rain on its way, 7 degrees at this time. This rain would be on and off through the day, then it's going to taper off later tonight. Expect some breezy conditions from the southeast before easing later this evening, and the temperatures will be holding steady around 7 degrees, so we're not going to be moving. We're only going to drop to about 3 degrees overnight. Dauphin already seen rain, Brandon already seen rain, the rain on its way to Gimli, that would stay steady. Most of the regions will stay steady around 7 degrees today. Up north, we're looking at mostly cloudy skies, seeing foggy conditions in Thompson at this time, and the highs will be between 4 and 6 degrees up north. But right now, Winnipeg, we're just at 7 and we'll stay there all day.
Does Corey look more fit than usual this morning, Abby?
Yes, I noticed that.
Because he's running after a kid. He's got 2 that are walking
now.
Yes, I know. It's full-time training. It is wild. I took our little one to the Leaf yesterday, and she was just bobbling around everywhere and trying to keep up.
What's the display there like right now? Is it just a regular, or do they have a special?
Enchanted Forest right now, and it's
fun.
cool. They got a little pond with this little mist going on. There's a bunch of carnivorous plants that eat flies and stuff.
Oh, cool!
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Fun stuff.
I didn't let her anywhere near that because she would have just absolutely destroyed them.
Well, there's when they start to walk, they're running over everything and also putting everything in their mouths too.
Oh yes,
I can grab this now.
Exactly.
You were here to talk about traffic and how that's moving.
Yes, it is so far a very quiet commute. Haven't heard of any major issues out there. Highways are looking okay, but if they're not looking okay where you are, if you want to tell me what you're seeing out there, if you're walking, biking, and driving, would love to hear from you. That number to call, 204-788-3093.
Well, as I mentioned, let's start with a bit of joy this morning. It's what many in our local Nigerian community in Winnipeg are calling a dream come true. Winnipeg's first Nigerian community mosque officially opened on Saturday. The Al-Haq Masjid was entirely funded by the community through their local prayer group. It raised $1.5 million to build this. It's at 500 Dovercourt Drive in White Ridge. CBC's Gavin Axelrod was there yesterday, and he spoke first with Yunus Salami, the founding member and imam of the mosque.
My name is Yunus Abdusalam. I'm the Amir of Nigerian Muslim Community, Al-Haq Prayer Group of Canada.
What's going on here today? Tell me about what's going on.
This is a very wonderful day. Today we are having an official opening of a new masjid in the city of Winnipeg in Manitoba, Canada, being sponsors or being organized by Nigerian Muslim Community Al-Haq Prayer Group of Canada.
Tell me about why you wanted to open this mosque. Why was it so important to have this here in Winnipeg?
Because we discovered that many years back, Nigerian, not really Nigeria, Muslims population is growing rapidly in Manitoba, and there is a kind of importance it's so important for us to see that we have a new area that we accommodate the ever-growing Muslim community in Manitoba.
How big is the Muslim faith in the Nigerian community here in Winnipeg?
In paper, we have more than almost over close to 1,000 families, but we are spread across the province of Manitoba.
What's your hope for the future of this space in the years to come?
We believe this is just a beginning, a new beginning for us in the community, because we have most of our Nigerians who are also in other parts of the Manitoba. So from this is just a starting point, and we are aiming to go forward and to have a bigger place. And this will continue to serve the entire community, not even limited to Nigerian Muslim alone, but the entire community, because it's a place of worship, it's a place of learning, it's a gathering place, not limited to only Muslim alone, but to all human beings, all the community will be making use of this place.
My name is Tajuddin Giwa.
What's it like to be here today at the mosque?
I mean, it's exciting, it's a dream come true. I can't describe how I feel today, because you know how you've been dreaming about something, you think it's impossible, and suddenly through efforts, and it's finally coming to being, and the place is really beautiful. See a place where we can come together as a community to pray, to interact, to be with the people. It's really exciting to be here today.
Yeah. Tell me about why this is so important for you today.
So as Muslims, it's a religion of people. It's not a religion you can practice alone. So having a space of your own where you can come together religiously to help yourselves grow spiritually, and then also meet people and then contribute back to the society also is really important. If you look at Manitoba, you find other Muslim communities, Rwanda Muslims, so it's also very nice that the Nigerian Muslim also has a place for the whole of the Muslims. It's just called Nigerian Muslim community, but I mean, it's generally for everybody to come in, participate in the programs that happen inside the masjid.
How long have you been here in Canada for?
I mean, this is my first year in Canada. Yeah, first year in Canada, and it's really good that in my first year I'm witnessing this. I mean, some people have been here 20 years, and so some of us say we bring the good luck.
My name is Nimota Titilayo Tijani. I've been in Manitoba for over 37 years. And this is a dream come true since I've been in Manitoba, feeling like a minority, being a Muslim with no mosque, to go, to attend regularly. And so many years ago when a lot of Muslims are coming, and then, the Nigerian community came together, and we started, prayer group together at the Manitoba Islamic Mosque. And so today we are able to acquire our own. It is a community mosque, but it is funded, by the Nigerian Muslims community. So, very happy today that we are opening it, and it's a lot of hard work, but today has come. It's a dream come true, and so that's why a lot of people are happy.
How will this sort of deepen your spirituality, maybe, or your faith?
Well, it will deepen, because there are many things other than worship, on Friday and our 5 daily prayers. There are also community programs that we can do and that we are also doing. Many of them were doing it online. Now there's an opportunity to have a space to have all those community programming, especially for our children and the youth. And a place to come, there's nothing like home, a place to come and call your own and home. So we believe that this will also encourage our youth to be more participatory in Islamic teaching. So this is a Haq Masjid and Islamic Resource Center. So it's going to be open to everyone. There's going to be information, resources for people to come and learn more about Islam. So this is also a way to also propagate and teach Islam to many people that don't know about it.
You called it a home. How does it feel being home here today, I guess?
It always feels good to be home, especially when it's your own. When I came to Canada, one of the things I learned is that it's a dream for every Canadian to have a home. So first of all, you chase having your own personal home, so you buy your home, and that feeling is exactly what I feel today.
How nice, hey, to start the show with a celebration from the weekend like that. CBC's Gavin Axelrod out with some local Nigerians who are also Muslim outside of their first Nigerian community mosque on Saturday, which they fundraised themselves $1.5 million to build in White Ridge. The new mosque and resource center, by the way, is open to everyone. It will also offer community programming, education, and resources for people as well to learn about Islam. You can read more about it on our website at cbc.ca/Manitoba.
There are many people who bring success, innovation, accomplishment, and charity to our community. We'd like you to help us meet some of the best. CBC Future 40 will honor 10 Manitobans under 40 making a difference. Help us discover the inspiring people in our province by nominating a shining star in your community today. For details, visit cbc.ca/future40mb.
6:21 a.m. is the time right now, and I just want to take a minute to talk about something we have coming up. So last week, we did a whole show dedicated to Kenaston widening. Why? Well, because it will be one of the largest construction projects in our city's history once it gets started, but of course it's been talked about for decades. It will cost $757 million. The city's still waiting for the feds and the province to commit. But Mayor Scott Gillingham is unequivocal, says this has to get done. This is both spans of the St. James Bridge and also widening Kenaston into 6 lanes and adding after transportation. Now, what all this may mean, though, is that people may be expropriated, lose their homes because of this. They need the land to build. So we talked to someone about that. What are the actual rules around what a city can do if they need your house, if they need your land? We're going to talk expropriation in the next hour of the show as a follow to that story on last week's program. So stay tuned. That's coming up in about an hour from now. Right now, though, family life can get really busy. First, daily tasks, running the household, running around to lessons. Actual FaceTime and meaningful conversations can be hard to come by. So let's talk about how to find quality time. Esper Bergman is with us this morning, father of 3 and author of Special Topics in Being a Parent.
Good morning.
So what is quality time in your view?
I think it's any time when either we're making an opportunity for conversation, right? Like you're hiking or you're baking cookies, and it's an activity that doesn't take up every second of your brain space. Or you're doing something that helps you create some shared vocabulary, right? Which can be as straightforward as watching the Blue Jays or The Bachelor, where it's something that you can watch and comment and talk about it and look forward to the next time.
Well, why do you think, I outlined a bunch of reasons, but why do you think it is hard to come by?
Well, obviously parents are incredibly busy now, I think more than ever. A lot of adults are working more hours and we're working harder and there's so much to do. But I think part of it is that we've all really gotten the message that we should be doing things for our kids, which is great, and we should. We sign them up for soccer and ballet and, guides or scouts or whatever, and then we take them there and then we drop them off and we sit in the car for an hour and, answer email or scroll on social media. So, we get them to the thing, but then we are, right, like again, we're separated. And I think what I'm really trying to do is reclaim some time to do things with my kids rather than just for them. I would like to swing that pendulum back just a little bit in the other direction so that we can enjoy some things all together, and so that they know that, those opportunities will continue to happen.
You call it sticky stuff, which I love. For busy parents, how do you carve more of that out of your schedule?
Yeah, one thing I have really loved is, you can bring your kids with you to do an activity that you like, whether it's, thrift shopping or, picking up rocks at the beach. Not all the time, certainly. Like it's great to have for parents to have the time to disconnect and decompress. But if you bring them with you to do the thing that you enjoy, especially when they're younger, there's every possibility that one of them might also really enjoy it, and then you have an activity partner for life. My husband is a great canoe enthusiast, and now we have 3 canoe-loving children, which is excellent in 2 ways. When he wants to go, there's always someone who wants to go with him, and also I don't have to go anymore, which is great. We do a lot of things together that I really enjoy, but I'm not a great canoe fan. But then it doesn't feel like, and now we are spending quality time, right? It just sort of feels like, a fun thing.
Where do you sit on passive activities? I want to interject here on that. Like eating dinner or, watching a movie together. Does it count, or how do you make it count?
I mean, I think anything can count, right? Like if you're all there for dinner together and you're having dinner conversation, and everybody's not just looking into their own device, I think that completely counts. And I think you can, extend it even a little more with a pie and a board game or a deck of cards. You can also, you can steal the time back. I've been doing this recently and I really like it in the car. When I've found it hard to find the time, my older kids and I have been playing music for each other while we drive to, soccer, dance class, whatever. I'll just play a couple of songs that I've been listening to, and then they play me a couple songs that they've been listening to.
Smart.
I learn the names of the bands they like, what the vibe is. Also, occasionally I play a song for them and they actually like a song that I have chosen, which then I feel very cool.
Where do you stand on planning it? I know you said, the whole planned thing can backfire, but what do you suggest for people that are trying to insert it into their lives deliberately?
I'm not anti-plans. I am actually a big fan of a plan. I think one thing is plans don't have to be boring or exhausting, right? Like planning a donut tour of the city in which you try the jelly donut from 3 different places and then rate them, like that's a plan. And frankly, a very fun kind of a plan to make. I also think it's really good to build it into your routine. My kids come home from school and in the afternoons when I'm at home, I make a snack plate, which, to be clear, like I'm not doing great culinary accomplishments here. I'm cutting an apple, right, and some cheese. But it means that I get the first 15 minutes after they get home, and I kind of get the news and weather, and they know they can rely on it, whether it's please sign this form for my field trip or something really weird happened at school today, and I want to talk about it.
All good ideas, always. Love your examples from your life as well. Especially, we're kind of in the thick of fall now, right? We flipped October, we're pushing to November, and things are getting busy. So we appreciate this.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me.
So that is some advice for these busy fall times for families. S. Bear Bergman's father of 3 and author of Special Topics in Being a Parent, a queer and tender guide to things I've learned about parenting, mostly the hard way. It's coming up to 6:30 in news time. If you need us on your Monday morning commute, call us 788-3093. You can reach Corey at that number. Still ahead in the next half hour of the program, Hallie Cotnam is going to join us, as she does always, here on Information Radio on CBC 89.3 FM with business news. Today she's going to talk about trade from the perspective of whether or not it's driving a wedge now. All this discussion with the states between provinces that have different approaches. Also, she's got this story about a running shoe company that is facing a lawsuit because customers say that the shoes squeak. So all of us have pretty much have that experience with some kind of a shoe. So this will be an interesting one to go through with Hallie. That's right after your CBC Winnipeg News.
This is CBC News. Good morning. I'm Heather Wells in Winnipeg at 6:30. We've got the rain is starting in parts of Winnipeg. We're expecting a lot of it, 10 to 15 millimeters in Winnipeg today. That wind is going to ease up this afternoon. Temperature sticking close to where we are now at 7. Some Manitobans have been waiting for Canada to approve temporary visas for family members fleeing the war in Gaza for nearly 2 years. The federal government started a special measures program for Palestinian refugees in January 2024. The program allows Canadian citizens or permanent residents to bring over extended family under temporary resident visas. Abdul Rahman Kishta submitted more than a dozen applications right away, but most of his family is still waiting, and he wants the government to move faster.
We want the government to continue its obligations and its responsibilities of bringing our beloved family and be together as one family.
The government capped the number of applications at 5,000. That quota was reached in March. The Immigration Ministry says it brought 880 Gazans to Canada through the Special Measures Program as of late July. The head of Doctors Manitoba is pleased this province will soon welcome American doctors. Health Minister Uzoma Asseguera confirmed last week at least 33 are on their way. Dr. Nicole Desolé says the group is a mixture of family physicians and specialists. Doctors Manitoba led recruitment campaigns in several states since the U.S. 2024 election.
We specifically targeted, as an organization, jurisdictions in the United States where items such as gender-affirming care, medical assistance in dying, those type of things that might be compromised in so-called red states.
6 doctors are moving or here already, and at least 33 others are in various stages of exploration. Earlier this year, the College of Physicians and Surgeons annual report showed this province had a net gain of 164 physicians from the year before, with a total of 3,498 doctors registered in this province. A Norway House Cree Nation member is calling the report by the police watchdog into the shooting death of a teenager an injustice. The Independent Investigations Unit says RCMP acted reasonably in the shooting of 17-year-old Elgin Muskego. He was shot after moving towards officers with a bread knife in his hand in Norway House last November. Johnny Meikle works in harm reduction in the community and was helping mature students get their high school diplomas. He says Elgin was a quiet and consistent student, but had struggles, and the community had been grieving several recent deaths.
It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out. We're under-resourced when it comes to Elgin's situation. He needed more resources. And the reality is we're working with scraps.
He says Norway House still desperately needs trauma-focused wellness supports. A silver alert has been issued for an 83-year-old Winnipeg woman. Carol Thompson was last seen in Westwood around 11:30 yesterday morning. She's 5'8", thin-build with short gray hair, blue eyes, and wearing glasses. She was last seen wearing black pants, black shoes, and driving a 2013 red Hyundai Santa Fe, Manitoba plate GPC 959. Winnipeg police say they are concerned for Thompson's well-being. If you've seen her or know anything about where she might be, call police. Amazon is experiencing an outage this morning. The company says its cloud services unit, AWS, has been affected, resulting in disruptions to several popular applications and websites. They include Amazon Prime, Alexa, and PayPal's Venmo systems. Several other organizations that rely on those services are also experiencing issues. It is still not clear what caused the outage or when services will be restored. Well, the Toronto Blue Jays are heading into Game 7, their final push to make the World Series.
Popped up. Clement is there. And there will be a 7th and deciding game in the American League Championship Series.
The do-or-die game goes down tonight in Toronto after the Jays beat the Mariners 6-2 last night, tying the series at 3. And fans appear pretty confident the Jays are going to make it to the World Series.
Bye-bye, Seattle. This is not just one game. This is the next game. We got this, Blue Jays. Toronto 7. Toronto 7.
I came here all the way from Boston, but the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So there you go. Go Jays.
Tonight's game starts just after 7 Central Time. The winner goes on to play the LA Dodgers in the World Series. And mixed feelings about an American rapper headlining the Grey Cup halftime show.
It sounds cliche, but tell me, would you wait for me? Baby, I'm a rolling stone.
Grammy-nominated artist MGK, formerly Machine Gun Kelly, but some fans say they'd rather have seen a Canadian artist play the big game. CFL reporter Justin Dunk at 3 Down Nation says the halftime show is geared towards trying to hook in some new viewers.
That might just tune in for the halftime show, potentially stick around for some of the third quarter and might go, hey, this football is actually entertaining, and potentially turn into new CFL fans.
Canadian rock band Our Lady Peace is performing the kickoff show, and Manitoba's Katie St. Germain will sing the anthem. You can find more news updated throughout the day at cbc.ca/Manitoba.
I love the tape from the Jays fans.
Yes.
Like I'm a sports fan, obviously, but I always find that over the years, whenever we have clips from like a big game, people just sound like lunatics, right? Oh my God!
I actually thought of you because that one woman says, like, I'm from Boston, but the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yeah, I know. So much fun, though. I've been losing sleep watching all these games. I can't help myself.
So much fun.
Yeah.
It is. It's great. And they were so good. On defense last night, they made some great plays.
It's funny because people this morning were discussing what the, I think it was on Newsnet, they were discussing what the play was. They were talking about the home runs, and I'm like, no way. It's those double plays with bases loaded because they just got out of that by the skin of their teeth.
You're right.
So let's hope they make the World Series. That'll be so much fun. Okay, tonight we'll see.
Thank you.
Thanks, Heath. Yeah, always the tape, right? It sounds like people are like lunatics because you're like have no voice and you're screaming all night. Okay, let's get into the weather here. We have rain that has started, including in Winnipeg, Abby.
Yeah, Marcy, I just looked outside. We got wet streets already. Expect a steady rain across much of southern Manitoba with some breezy conditions coming with that. We're talking about 10 to 15 millimeters of rain when the system comes our way, and that should taper off later in the evening into the overnight time. Winnipeg right now, we're at 7 degrees. Expect these periods of rain through the day, and then that will taper off overnight as mentioned. We're going to hold the temperature steady around 7 for most of the day. Then it drops to about 3 as we get closer into the evening period. The Pembina Valley region, Morden, Winkler, Alton and Morris down to the U.S. border, similar conditions. We have 7 degrees in that part of the province. The rain also approaching that part of the province. We're looking at 15 millimeters for that part of the province. Temperatures holding steady at 7 as well. In the Westman region, tracking it from Brandon all the way towards Nipawin and nearby areas, we're seeing temperatures sitting near 6 degrees at this time. Rain also falling there right now. That should end sometime this morning. It's going to give way to some sunny breaks, and then we'll see some northwest winds. Temperatures hold steady around 7 degrees for that part of the province. Also, we have a rain in Dauphin, Russell, Roblin. We're seeing rain in that part of the province, and that will be the condition for that region through the morning before tapering off later in the day. We'll see high holding around 6 degrees for today. Gimli at 7, the rain also heading that way, 7 degrees right now. We're looking at 10 to 15 millimeters of rain coming through for that part of the province, and the temperature stays around 7 also for that part for the Interlake region. The power, we're looking at 4 degrees right now, cloudy skies. The high would get close to 5 degrees for today. We have misty conditions in Thompson, sitting at 2 degrees at this time. Those fog patches should clear, leaving, more like a cool gray day for that part of the province. And then you jump to about 4 degrees later in the day. Further north in Churchill, cloudy and cool. We're seeing 3 degrees there, and the temperature holds steady around 3 degrees also in that part of the province. Right now in Winnipeg, we already have 7 degrees, and wait for it, the rain already coming your way.
All right, thanks, Abby.
Thank you.
Bring the umbrella. The commute's pretty good, though. Hey, Cor?
Yeah, no major issues I've heard of yet on the commute, but if you see something going on out there, you can give me a call if you're walking, biking, driving. Would love to hear from you. That number, 204-788-3093. Thanks, Corey. Thank you.
Hallie Cotnam is here now with our business news. Good morning, Hallie.
Good morning, Marcy.
So more evidence that the trade war with the States is a wedge between regions in Canada. That's where you're starting. What's making you say that?
Yeah, BC's premier is calling on the feds to treat lumber tariffs as a national emergency. We spoke last week about how the U.S. has slapped another 10% onto the existing 35% tariffs. Now, this has David Eby calling for immediate help. He was a guest on the CBC's Power and Politics yesterday.
We all looked on with disappointment and sadness and anger at the Stellantis decision and the impact on auto workers. And that's a big deal in Ontario, and it should be. But it's important for Canadians to know that if you look at the auto parts sector, if you look at the primary steel sector, you put them together, softwood is bigger than both. But it's so easy to drift back into focus on central Canada. These companies are on a knife's edge.
Now, the feds announced in August that they would allocate $1.2 billion to support the softwood sector, but that money hasn't yet been distributed. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister sounded a little frustrated with negotiations at an event over the weekend.
I can't control Donald Trump, I got to tell you. Actually, I can't let him think I'm controlling him is maybe a better way to do it. You never know. You never know what's going to come next.
Also, word this morning, Marcy, that the key minister for the trade file, Dominic LeBlanc, has returned to Ottawa without a deal, though sources say he'll head back later this week to continue.
Sorry, I stepped in the PM there.
That's okay.
Let's talk about a running shoe company. They're facing a lawsuit because of customers say their shoes squeak.
Yes, this is a story. This is a real story, in case you're wondering. The Swiss-based company On is being sued for $7 million because its Cloud Tech sneakers make a noise. Quote, in fact, the quote in the lawsuit is a noisy and embarrassing squeak. So these shoes, which cost about $200 in Canada, have this cushioning system, a thick sole made up of hollow areas designed to absorb impact. And when people run or walk, these holes compress and they rub and they make a noise. A buyer of these shoes posted this on social media.
We all looked on.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Would you wait a second? It's worth waiting for. Would you
we'll wait
for
for the squeaky
Hold
clip.
on.
For sure.
Right. Here we
no
go.
problem.
I got squeaky shoes on my feet.
I don't know if you can relate to that in any way, Marcy, but the plaintiffs say they tried to return the shoes. They were told no. They say this company On, with a market valuation of $24 billion, knows about the issue but refuses to cover its warranty. Meanwhile, people have taken to social media to share tips on how to make these shoes less noisy, including using a nail file or strips of sandpaper to sort of roughen up the holes and cut down on the squeak, or applying coconut oil or baby powder.
Okay, I'm not going to find this in time to share this on the air with you, but I'll find it after and I'll send it to you, and maybe I'll share it with listeners. But I, this summer, bought these shoes from Sorel. Like, they were like kind of a clog. And I almost didn't buy them because the reviewers talked about this like passing gas sound when your foot would stick to the thing. But the way the reviews were written were so funny that I was just like a 5-year-old sitting and laughing my head off. And if I had a bad day, I would go back and read the reviews.
That's totally a deal breaker. Come on.
I bought them anyway. I don't care.
Oh, my God.
All right, let's talk about baseball. Most of us focused on tonight's Game 7 with the Jays, but you have a story about the value of a home run in the other Major League Championship final, actually.
Yeah, this is about Shohei Ohtani's incredible performance in Game 4 of the National League Series. Dodgers swept the Brewers. They're into the World Series. Ohtani had a huge game. He struck out 10 batters, allowing just 2 hits in 6 innings. He hit 3 home runs, Marcy, and the third home run ball ended up in the stands in the hands of this fan. That's actually the sound of the fans around David Flores reacting to him catching the ball. He said he caught it like a baby and squeezed it nice and tight, but now he plans to sell that ball. Flores says he has a 12-year-old son who hopes someday to go to college, and this ball will help him get here because it's worth a lot of money. How much? Well, another Ohtani home run ball in which Ohtani became the first player to record 50 home runs and 50 stolen bases in the same season. That ball sold for more than $6 million a year ago. Yeah, making it the most expensive sports ball ever sold at auction. The important thing is that this catch by David Flores was caught on video, and that's the audio that I played for you, because it proves that he's the guy. He actually caught it. There's because another fella claims that he found the second home run ball in the bushes outside the stadium, but there's no proof. So there's some question marks there. But David Flores legit caught the ball. It's legitimately Ohtani's third home run ball from that game. It's going to be worth a bunch of money.
And I'm sorry, but Shohei Ohtani, can we just have a moment, please, for watching in real time the best baseball player of all time? Like absolutely incredible.
More to come on that, perhaps, in the next series, Marcy.
Yeah. All right, thanks a lot. Take care.
You too.
Yeah, we'll see how they do in the World Series, see if our Jays get there. That is Hallie Cotton with Business News, 6:45 a.m. on your Monday morning. It's raining out there, light rain in Winnipeg, 7 degrees right now. Well, next on the show, let's turn our attention back to something you may have been hearing on World Report. The U.S. brokered ceasefire in Gaza between Hamas and Israel was put to the test yesterday. On Sunday, the Israeli military said militants launched an anti-tank missile and fired on its troops in Rafah. Now, in response, they sent a wave of airstrikes that killed 26 people, according to local residents and health authorities. The armed wing of Hamas said it remained committed to the ceasefire agreement, was unaware of clashes in Rafah, and has not been in contact with groups there since March. Israel also halted aid to the region, but that was set to resume today. For analysis on the situation, the CBC spoke with Nader Hashem. He's an associate professor of Middle East politics at Georgetown University.
My own reading of what's going on is that Israel has been arming some of these Palestinian gangs and militant groups that are effectively collaborating with the IDF. Every colonial and foreign occupation seeks to rely on collaborators to expand its control and its domination over a colonized society. So what Israel is doing here is not that different from what the French and the British and the Dutch did in the past. And so what seems to be happening is that some of these gangs, one particular gang known as the Yasser Abu Shabab gang that's located in the Rafah area, with Israeli armament and support, has been staging raids into the part of Gaza that Israel does not control, where Hamas has been in power and is reasserting itself. And then some elements from within Hamas seem to be firing back on these gangs, which flee back into the Israeli-controlled part of Gaza, leading to a breakdown in the ceasefire, the death of the Israeli soldiers that happened today, and then the breakdown of the ceasefire deal. Netanyahu announced the aid delivery now will be suspended, and now there's a lot of violence going on. So it looks like the entire sort of package that Donald Trump sold to us, that peace had arrived in the Middle East, has really blown up in his face, and of course in the face of the Palestinians in Gaza who are bearing the brunt of this horrific situation.
Part of the pressure that's been put on this ceasefire in really the last week that we've seen is Israel saying that Hamas has been too slow in repatriating the bodies of the hostages that are deceased, and then Hamas saying that they're just having trouble getting to those hostages because of the devastation, because of the rubble. Was there ever a sense that both sides could meet the terms of this ceasefire at all?
I think what you just pointed to does give Israel an excuse to put the squeeze on Hamas again by claiming that, look, they haven't honored the deal. They haven't turned over the corpses of the remaining Israeli hostages, which is true. I think there's about 14 of them that haven't been returned yet. But as you pointed to, just the nature of the devastation makes it very difficult to find these corpses. Many of these Israeli hostages who have been killed probably are under the rubble. Many of the Hamas commanders that buried them are probably dead. There's an easy way out of this if one really wanted to solve it. There could be easily a UN commission set up that's given access to Gaza to go in to find these dead Israeli hostages and to repatriate them to their families. That's not on the offer because I think there's no interest in really solving this problem. I think there's a lot of interest on Netanyahu's part finishing the job of what he started in Gaza.
In conversation with CBC nationally over the weekend, that was Nader Hashemi, an associate professor of Middle East politics at Georgetown University, for the latest this morning, and now some international reaction to what has happened with the ceasefire over the weekend. That is coming up on World Report, including reaction from the U.S. President Donald Trump.
If it happened today, find out today. That's the power of having the news in your hand. Get late-breaking news from reporters across the country, straight to your mobile device. Customize your experience with news from your region and what matters to you. Whether it's big headlines, detailed articles, live events, or on-demand video, CBC News has got you covered. Connect to the world. Download the free CBC News app or visit cbcnews.ca. The Great Canadian Baking Show is back.
Hello, beautiful bakers, and welcome to the tent.
10 contestants.
On your marks. Get set, bake.
All hoping for the sweet smell of success.
I am at the stage of panic.
Just gotta say a little prayer.
I'm in heaven.
Wow. I haven't even tasted it, and I'm happy.
I forgot to put in the eggs. Is anyone else uncontrollably shaking right now?
It's a new season of The Great Canadian Baking Show. Watch free on CBC Gem.
Right now it is 10 to 7 on 89.3 FM, 990 AM on the app and on YouTube on CBC Manitoba's Information Radio. I'm Marcy Marcusa. Thanks for spending some time with us here this morning on the morning show. Next on the program, according to new polling by INFORAD Institute for Survey Research, more than half of Canadians believe the country accepts too many immigrants. The polling also revealed a growing divide on the topic. A growing divide. For a closer look at this morning, Yvonne Sue is with us. She's a visiting scientist at Harvard University and an associate professor in the Department of Equity Studies over at York University. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. So, as someone who works in and is focused on immigration, what do these poll numbers say to you about Canada?
Yeah, it lets me know that Canadians actually have a very nuanced and dynamic understanding of immigration. That this quite complicated issue, Canadians are actually trying really honestly to wrestle with it. And that's very clear through kind of the conflicting views that you see throughout the report. So, of course, like you said, about 56% of Canadians agree there is too much immigration. At the same time, 7 out of 10 Canadians would say that they agree that immigrants have a positive contribution to our economy and to local communities. So they're kind of holding both at the same time.
There's another interesting thing in here to highlight, because while some feel there's too much immigration, Statistics Canada says that the country has had nearly no population growth in 2025. How do you square public sentiment with, real economic and labor needs?
Absolutely. So I think that is the challenge right there, is that while there's a lot of American rhetoric, I would also say, that's contributing to this, saying that immigrants are bad, there's too many, right? We're seeing that play out south of the border, but we're also seeing the dynamics here change in Canada, because we have welcomed, over 1 million international students over the last few years and millions of temporary workers. And of course, what happens is they end up being in the very visible service jobs. So I think that contributes to a bias in terms of who Canadians are seeing as immigrants. But at the same time, you're right, we have an aging population. We have a lot of labor gaps, especially in more dangerous or undesirable jobs, like in farming, like in nursing, that Canadians don't want to do. So if we want to be very strict and control immigration and really reduce our numbers, we also have to talk about and be okay with the fact that the cost of living is going to increase. Everything's going to be more expensive, and we will have significant shortages in very key industries.
Many of the respondents also said that they feel immigration has been poorly managed by the government. What are some of the gaps in our system that you would like to see Ottawa address?
I think what we saw has been very reactive policymaking, especially in the last few years of Trudeau government, because he was trying to hold on to power, and people were rightly upset and trying to get the politicians to react to their concerns about infrastructure. The thing that kind of got slightly wrong was that a lot of the media and politicians started to blame immigrants and migrants for that issue, when really housing, healthcare, right, education, those have been long-standing issues in Canada long before we had increases in immigration. So I think policymakers need to kind of stop being so reactive and just stop reacting so immediately in a knee-jerk way to public sentiment or public outcry, and actually go back to our roots. Because Canada has been known internationally to have a very long-term, visionary, and I say gold star immigration system. So let's stop being so reactive and knee-jerky and sit down, have the parties work together, and come up with a long-term plan.
It was, though, last year, October 2024, when the Trudeau government was criticized for scapegoating migrants for housing and affordability, for putting that out there to the population as well. So how much does that fuel public sentiment that may be based on not all of the facts?
Absolutely. And the facts and, scientists like myself have come out again and again to say that immigrants are not causing this. These are not concerns that they just immediately produced, but long-standing issues of underfunding and not being prioritized. So I think it is dangerous when politicians scapegoat immigrants and migrants. But then I also have to say that this poll tells us that immigration is actually not a top priority. And if we think about it, you're like, yeah, that makes sense. These Canadians that responded said that inflation is a top priority. Prices are a big priority. Affordability, healthcare, our trade war with Trump. Immigration actually came up 7th. Yet we hear it in the mouths of politicians because they know that gets a response from the electorate. And I think that's the dangerous stance that they're dancing and forces Canadians to think about immigration as a big problem when really we have a lot of other issues that are much bigger. And immigrants, as they themselves recognize, actually are contributing to the solution. They're helping us solve our issues with labor gap and growing our economy, and they're not necessarily the problem. But politicians might not want us to believe that.
How you started by saying that some of this is U.S. creep into attitudes in Canada, in your view. Have we seen that in the past in this kind of a way?
I think we have, and a lot of it is just the rhetoric. It's very polarizing. It's like they're bad, they're not good, immigrants are demonized, and they should leave. Right? And I would say, and that's so clear through the divide, when the question of too much immigrants were asked along party lines, 82% of conservatives said they agreed, versus 29% of liberals. 29% of NDP and 40% of liberals. So there is a big divide, a big polarization depending on your party line. So, and I would say that that's a lot of the American-style politics creeping in to make us so divisive when Canadians really aren't.
Yvonne, thanks for this. Appreciate you analyzing some of the poll for us this morning.
Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
You as well. That's Yvonne Sue. She's an associate professor in the Department of Equity Studies at York University and a visiting scientist over at Harvard University. We have more analysis of this coming up in the National and International News on World Report. That's up in about 4 minutes from now. Time right now is 4 minutes to 7 o'clock on CBC. Find ourselves here at Monday, October 20th already, and it's raining. So rain across most of southern and western Manitoba right now. A little bit misty up north. And we'll get into some of the temperatures and the rest of the day's details in a moment. Right now, though, our headlines from Heather Wells.
Good morning. And the head of Doctors Manitoba calls 33 doctors from the United States coming to this province a welcome change. Health Minister Uzoma Azuguera confirmed that news last week. Dr. Nichelle Desilets at Doctors Manitoba says they led a recruitment campaign in several states after the 2024 U.S. election. A silver alert has been issued for an 83-year-old Winnipeg woman. Carol Thompson was last seen in Westwood around 11:30 yesterday morning. She's 5'8", thin-build. She has short gray hair and blue eyes and was wearing glasses. Now, police are concerned for her well-being. If you've seen her, if you know anything about where she might be, you're asked to contact police. You can find more news on our website, as always, as well as a photo of Carol Thompson. And I'll be back with more Manitoba news at 7:30.
All right, thanks, Heather.
Thanks.
Light rain falling in Winnipeg and in Brandon. 7 degrees in Winnipeg right now, and that's about where we'll stay for the day. We are expecting 10 to 15 millimeters, so a good dump of it. Obviously, wear the right footwear, umbrellas, all that stuff. It's going to be wet if you're standing in the rain waiting for a bus or if you're biking today for sure. The rain should end overnight, but not before we get a further 5 millimeters, so it's going to be really wet and windy into tonight as well. Right now, 7 in Winnipeg, 6 and raining in Brandon, and 2 and misty up in Thompson. In the next hour of Information Radio, today is International Chef's Day. Some local chefs are choosing to celebrate by doing what they love most. They're cooking. They're cooking for others. We'll hear how they're planning on giving back to our community this afternoon. In addition, this morning on the program, coming up at 7:40, Opaskwayak Cree Nation in Manitoba is trying to keep youth involved in the community through sports. But what else do they need to keep those sports running consistently and having that stable underpinning in their community? It can be tough going. We're going to have that from one of our reporters who was recently in community. And at 10 to 8 this morning, the Kenaston Boulevard expansion and the St. James Bridge reconstruction underscores a broad tension. How do you balance citywide progress and huge construction projects like that with the property rights of citizens? Coming up, understanding expropriation with a legal expert. That's in the next hour of the show and builds on what we heard last week by some residents in that area. I'm Marcy Marcuso. You're listening to CBC's Information Radio. Thanks for being here. And stay with us. World Report's coming up next at 7.
Today on The Current.
Remember landlines? Just one option that some parents are looking at to keep their kids away from smartphones and social media, and they're trying to get other parents and kids to buy in on that project. That's coming up on The Current.
The Current with Matt Galloway. This morning at 8:37, 9:07 in Newfoundland, and on the CBC Listen app.
We're sorry. Your call cannot be completed as dialed.
Is World Report. Good morning, I'm Marcia Young. Israel's military says it is living up to the terms of the ceasefire agreement with Hamas. Yesterday, it launched a wave of airstrikes on Gaza that reportedly killed 44 people. Israel also halted the transfer of aid into the territory. It claims Hamas killed 2 of its soldiers, but Israeli officials say aid delivery is resuming today, reportedly following pressure from the U.S. The CBC's Crystal Gomansing is at the Kerem Shalom crossing in southern Israel. Crystal, what are you seeing?
Well, there are maybe a dozen trucks in the parking lot here at the Kerem Shalom crossing point. This crossing is one of the entry points where trucks will come in. They are inspected by Israeli officials, and they determine if the supplies can enter. Now, some of the trucks, if they are approved, will be able to cross into Gaza from here. Others, they will be going to nearby crossing points. The agency with Israel responsible for these deliveries and the inspections, COGAT, did not respond to our request to know exactly how many crossings are in use. I can tell you that the Rafah border crossing between Egypt and Gaza, which is only about 5 kilometers from where I am right now, has not reopened. There was a directive yesterday from the Israeli government to halt all aid deliveries. That was quickly reversed, likely from pressure not only from the U.S., but other nations that helped mediate the peace agreement in hopes of not having the entire deal collapse and fall apart.
Crystal, the Gaza ceasefire is fragile. Where do things stand right now?
Well, we haven't seen the barrage of airstrikes yesterday, but there have been violent altercations around what's called the yellow zone. Israel Defense Forces say that they had interactions with what they are calling terrorists in around Gaza City. We do know, based on information from a freelance video journalist that CBC works with inside Gaza, that 2 people were killed at one of those strikes, and that we do know that the U.S. president has sent over Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, as well as the president's son-in-law and advisor, Jared Kushner. They are back in Israel again, no doubt to oversee the current phase of the agreement and moving on to phase 2.
Thank you, Crystal.
You're welcome.
The CBC's Crystal Gomansing at the Kerem Shalom crossing in southern Israel. 2 people are dead after a cargo plane veered into a ground crew vehicle at Hong Kong's airport.
The 2 security staff served at the airport 7 years and 12 years respectively. We are deeply saddened and extend our deepest condolence. We will provide the family with all necessary support and assistance.
That is the executive director of airport operations. He says a ground crew patrol car was outside the runway fence. Then the plane suddenly veered off the runway, hitting the vehicle. The plane skidded into the sea surrounding the airport, taking the patrol vehicle with it into the water. Both workers had to be pulled from the sunken vehicle. One died at the scene. The second died after being rushed to hospital. Some European foreign leaders are raising objections to a proposed meeting between U.S. President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin in Hungary. Europe's foreign policy chief says Putin should not be visiting any EU country. Lithuania's foreign minister says the only place in Europe for Putin is the International Criminal Court in The Hague. Putin faces an arrest warrant from the ICC. Hungary is still a signatory but is in the process of leaving. Russia began the war with Ukraine in 2022. Prince Andrew is facing more criticism from the posthumous memoir of Virginia Giuffre. Her book is being released this week. In it, Giuffre is explicit and gives details of being trafficked to the prince by sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Julia Chapman has more.
Virginia Giuffre took her own life earlier this year. Tomorrow, her final words will be published in a memoir she wrote before her death. Some details have been made public. In the book, Giuffre describes the abuse she suffered at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein. It reportedly says she feared she would die a sex slave. It also recounts 3 occasions where Giuffre says she had sex with Prince Andrew, at least one of which happened when she was 17. He denies that and says he doesn't remember meeting her. Andrew gave up his titles on Friday, but only informally. Removing them would take an act of parliament, which some lawmakers are calling for. Rachel Maskell is an MP for York.
We've seen the pain and very much heard the pain and learning more to victims and survivors. And I think as a result of that, it would be appropriate to have legislation in place.
For now, there doesn't seem to be the political will to take further action against Andrew.
This is a matter for the royal family.
Bridget Phillipson is a member of the UK government.
We will be guided by them on it. It's why we do support the statement that was issued and the action that has been taken. But of course, Prince Andrew holds the title of prince because he is the son of a monarch.
King Charles is travelling to the Vatican this week for a state visit. Buckingham Palace fears the scandal will overshadow this significant moment, and the headlines keep coming. Julia Chapman, CBC News, London.
The House of Commons is returning today following a Thanksgiving break, and the Carney government has a plan to protect Canadians from scammers. Finance and National Revenue Minister François-Philippe Champagne will make an announcement about tackling fraud and strengthening Canadians' financial security. The CBC's Janice McGregor joins me now from Ottawa. And Janice, what are we expecting from the finance minister?
Marcia, the Liberal platform back in 2021 promised to create a financial crimes agency to develop specific expertise in the sometimes complex scams that target the finances of vulnerable people like seniors. But cracking down on financial fraud is difficult without the collaboration of banks and financial institutions. So part of what the finance minister will be proposing today will be measures to offer people more peace of mind so they can trust service providers to have their backs when financial crimes are committed through no fault of their own. This is going to take resources, specialized resources, and that's why some of the additional 1,000 RCMP officers that the Liberals are budgeting to recruit and train over the next few years are going to be assigned to focus on things like cybersecurity and organized financial crimes, particularly when they originate overseas, where online fraud schemes can be difficult to prosecute and stop. In the most recent election, the Conservative election platform spoke of forcing Canadian financial institutions and telecommunication companies to take stronger actions to prevent and block scams and warn their customers when they were potential fraud victims. They also proposed increasing jail time for fraud convictions. So we'll see if having relative agreement on this particular point makes it easier for the upcoming budget as a whole to find the support it's going to need in this minority parliament.
Thank you, Janice.
You're welcome.
The CBC's Janice McGregor in Ottawa. There is some encouraging news for those suffering from anxiety disorders. Health Canada has approved a clinical trial of the use of psilocybin in small doses. Psilocybin is the hallucinogenic compound found in certain species of mushrooms. Ontario researchers are hoping to find its mental health benefits without the mind-altering highs. Trevor Pritchard has more.
Most of the research on psychedelics has been focused on what we call the macrodoses.
Dr. Claudio Suarez wants to change that. He heads up the Centre for Psychedelics Health and Research in Kingston, Ontario, and his team is asking if microdosing psilocybin could bring relief to people with generalized anxiety disorder.
Not everybody can have access to psychotherapy. Not everybody can tolerate antidepressants.
It's being touted as the first clinical trial greenlit by Health Canada to probe the effects of small doses of psilocybin. Participants would take it daily at home, 2 to 3 milligrams at most, for 4 weeks. Some would then stay on it, while others would get a placebo. The trial comes as anxiety rates have been rising, more than doubling since 2012, according to Statistics Canada.
While it may not be as impairing to the individual as, say, really severe depression, the number of people with it is so much more that the collective burden of generalized anxiety is actually very, very high.
Dr. Tyler Castor is a psychiatrist at Toronto's Centre for Addictions and Mental Health. He's intrigued by the microdosing research, but warns it's still early days.
These interventions are exciting, they're worth exploring, but we don't know whether it should be used for clinical treatment as of yet.
Suarez says if the trial goes well, it could lead to a larger one down the road, and perhaps eventually new anxiety drugs. Trevor Pritchard, CBC News, Ottawa.
And Trevor has more on this story at cbcnews.ca. It's on our main page, and it includes links to other stories about psilocybin. That is the latest national and international news from World Report. News anytime, cbcnews.ca. If you like the World Report podcast, follow us and tell a friend. It helps spread the word. I'm Marcia Young.
Well, good Monday morning, everyone. Hopefully you had a great weekend. I'm Marcy Marcusa. This is Information Radio live in downtown Winnipeg on 89.3 FM, 990 AM, on the app and YouTube. A little rainy out there. And there's more wet stuff coming, so get ready for that on this Monday, October 20th. This hour on the show, Salome Mission's cooking up a bit of a surprise for International Chef's Day and inviting Winnipeggers to taste food prepared by local chefs. We're going to hear more about that when we connect with one of the chefs who's already up and prepping. In addition, we're going to take you this hour to Opaskwayak Cree Nation and get a look at sport and recreation and how important it is for the people in community, also to keep youth involved in the community through sport. But they also don't necessarily have all the stability that they need to continue some of their programs, and what happens when a facility is aging. Plus, Kenaston Boulevard. We did a whole show about the expansion, one of the largest projects in our city's history that's expected to have shovels in the ground in 2027. But for those with homes in the way, what is the 101 on expropriation? What actually should you know as a homeowner? To help us break down what rights homeowners have and how the process of expropriation works, we're going to have an interview on it this hour. So that's at about 10 to 8 this morning. Right now, it's 7:11. Let's go to headlines with Heather Wells.
Good morning. A Winnipeg family with loved ones trapped in Gaza has been waiting nearly 2 years to bring them to Canada. Hafsa Abuasi and Walid Jad applied for temporary resident visas for Abuasi's parents and siblings under Canada's Special Measures Program for Palestinian refugees. They started that process at the beginning of 2024, but they have been stuck at the security screening phase for more than a year. We'll hear what the problem is. And a Norway House Cree Nation member is calling the report by the police watchdog into the shooting death of a teen in their community an injustice. The IIU says RCMP acted reasonably in shooting 17-year-old Elgin Muskego. I'll be back with more details on that and other news at 7:30.
All right, thanks, Heather.
Thank you.
Abby, let's get into this wet forecast.
Cool and rainy day across the province, concentrating in the southern part. Today, 7 degrees. We will see across board light and moderate winds. Winnipeg right now, 7, light rain already. Showers will continue through the morning. We see temperature just stay around 7 for most of the day, with the breezy conditions coming from the southeast before easing tonight. That rain will be ending overnight. Then temperature drops to around 3 degrees, and similar conditions will be seen from Brandon into Dauphin and all the way down to Gimli. It's going to be cloudy. We're going to see rain on and off, and we will see temperatures hover around 7 degrees for most of the day for this region as well. Up north, we're seeing temperatures going to climb between 2 and 5 degrees today, but Winnipeg right now, 7 degrees with light rain.
Corey looks like the Maytag lonely repairman.
Yeah, I
Is
know,
the traffic line quiet or what?
Yeah, it's quiet. That's okay. It's I haven't heard of any major issues out there yet. Highway's looking okay so far too. But if you're out there, you see something going on, you can give me a call on the CBC commuter line. That number 204-788-3093.
Well, you know where it is busy over on Princess Street at Siloam Mission, where they're getting ready for a special day. Today is International Chef's Day, as I mentioned, and some Winnipeg chefs are marking the occasion by giving back to the community. From noon to 1, members of Winnipeg's Culinary Federation are preparing and serving lunch to an expected 500 people over at Siloam Mission. The chef's volunteer lunch is being put on by the nonprofit with the help of partners like Manitoba Pork Council, who donated pork, and City Bread is providing rolls for the menu. It's a lunch that is an addition to the three meal services that are already offered over at Siloam out of the kitchen every day. Mary Lou Castro is Food Services Manager at Siloam Mission. She carved out some time for us this morning as the chefs prepare for this service today. Good morning.
Good morning.
So you sound like you've got a smile in your voice. This must be a really lovely thing to work on today.
That's true. We're very excited. We're serving a special lunch for our community. It doesn't happen every time. So, yeah, we're excited.
How busy are you already this morning? What's the preparation like in the kitchen?
Actually, we started prepping yesterday. We have 4 from the Culinary Federation came in to do some prep already, because it takes a while to roast all that butternut squash, right? And we started yesterday, and now we're just reheating and seasoning all this soup.
So obviously the squash is on the menu. Is the squash what was made into the soup, or are you serving the squashes?
It's a full-size butternut squash soup. That's what we're serving. And pulled pork sandwich, blueberry cobbler, and we're having vegetarian chili for our community members who can't have pork because of their religion. There's always something for everyone.
What's it like for you when you're able to see, not everybody coming there today will even be aware, and then they'll come in and they'll see this special meal today. What's that like for you, those moments where you see people responding to something special like this?
Oh, it's very special. It's heartwarming. It fills my heart. You see, because food is a universal language, right? And it's not every day that we can serve a special meal like this to the community we help serve. It's joy.
Who are some of the chefs that are going to be cooking today?
So we're having Chef Hans and Dustin. I don't know everybody. And there's of course the territory manager, Chef Scott, coming. They'll be here right after. Even before we serve breakfast, they'll be here around 9:30ish.
Yeah. And then you guys have, I guess, a pretty big to-do list before lunch service.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because we're serving breakfast too at 9 o'clock. So it's kind of full house for the kitchen.
You're hoping to serve, for around 500 people. We were mentioning, Mary Lou.
That's right.
Is that what you're prepping for then, 500? What will you do if, I guess, more come?
If there's more, say it again.
What will you do if there's more people than that?
Oh, we always have a backup. God is always good with his provision, so we're prepping some potato salad for them, just in case we run out. But I think will be enough for 500 because we have 260 pounds of pork from Manitoba Council, so we'll be good.
Got it.
And it's all about the portioning and all that.
How are you guys going to share kitchen space? This is your kitchen. Got all these chefs coming in.
I'm excited. We can learn from them. I feel like I'll be in, that movie Ratatouille.
Yeah.
It's going to be exciting. Yes, it's going to be full of fun.
Well, I'll let you get back to it this morning. Thank you so much for telling us more about what you're planning for the day. I appreciate you giving us some time on CBC.
Oh, thank you. Have a good morning.
Yeah, you too. Mary Lou Castro is Siloam Mission's Food Services Manager. They're going to have a lovely day over there. The chef's volunteer lunch is going on, as mentioned, from noon to 1 today at Siloam on Princess.
The Canadian Music Hall of Fame, honoring Canada's most influential music legends. Join 8-time Juno Award winner Paul Brandt as he welcomes the 2025 inductees. Dan Hill, Jeanette Renaud, Glass Tiger, and Lorena McKenna, including special tributes to Sum 41 and Maestro Fresh Wes, and a special video appearance by Celine Dion. The 2025 Canadian Music Hall of Fame ceremony premieres on October 23rd, free on CBC Gem.
7:18 is the time. time right now. Light rain falling, as we've been telling you. It's 7 degrees. Brandon, 6 degrees, now cloudy, so the rain stopped for the moment. And then Thompson, misty and 1 degree, and you're not expecting rain today. In your forecast up in Thompson, just some cloud cover. Well, we have morning sports coming up in a few minutes from now, so we'll all get to get ready for the Jays game tonight. Also, good weekend locally with the Jets coming up with a win, also with the Bombers coming up with a win on Friday. Right now, the little bit of music from Winnipeg-based Lowtie, formerly known as Bush Lotus. They're back with new music, actually. Their latest single is called Warmer.
Not long now. Do you need weight for winter bones too brittle with the cold? Be warm inside. You are in my eye, not heavy. Sailing. Lighten your way. You'll be the reflection of the lamplight on cool night snow. Banking on the roadsides, then we walk side by side, and my legs are numb, but you said you'll want me like I do What's it feel like to be my heat? I want to ask, but you cover my mouth with a kiss, and with your hands on my back, the questions are drowned out. Darling, don't look away. I want you to see me. Know me like no other. Don't walk
That's Winnipeg-based artist Lowtie. Tune's called Warmer. Kind of feels like if you're driving with the rain streaming down your windows, that would be really good music to kind of just lean into a long drive. Wherever you are this morning, if you do need to reach us with any commuting news, 788-3093, and it is raining. Maybe not where you are, but certainly if you are in Winnipeg, some light rain continues to fall.
We carry a world of information in our pockets because we want to know. Breaking news that shapes our world. Staying on top of stories around the globe. And connected close to home. It's news you can trust. Delivered when you want and where you want. On Canada's News app. Now with CBC Radio 1. Local and live. Download the CBC News app for free.
Time right now is 7:24 a.m. on 89.3 FM, 990 AM on the app and YouTube, and still ahead. That is the sound of the Northern Manitoba Blizzard winning the 2025 Turnbull Cup. We're going to take you to Opaskwayak Cree Nation. We're going to hear more about the importance of that team to the community, but overall also about sport to the community of OCN in Manitoba. They're trying to keep youth involved in the community through sport, but they have other needs to make sure that there's stability there for the facilities, for the leagues, for the coaching. So stay tuned. We have a special report from Sierra Sanders, who was recently up in OCN. So that's coming up after your local news at 7:30. Well, let's keep talking about sports right now, though, because Scott Reguera is back. Hi, Scott.
Hey there, Marcy.
So I hate to start with a cliche, but it all comes down to this.
Oh, my gosh.
What are your thoughts, first of all, on the Jays win last night?
Well, it had all of the elements, Marcy, of what's made this team so successful to this point. There was strong defense, including double plays that ended Seattle threats in 3 straight innings. There was stellar pitching, Louis Varland and Trevor Hoffman finishing off what Uber rookie Trey Savage started. And then there was transcendent hitting. Vladdy Guerrero Jr. with a Blue Jays record-tying 6th playoff home run, which knocked the Seattle starter Logan Gilbert out of the game. Savage shared his thoughts on Vladdy.
He's one of the many reasons we're heading to Game 7 right now. He's a game changer in our lineup. He's a spark plug to the rest of the 8 guys in the lineup, and then on defense, he's spectacular. So having a guy like that in this clubhouse is one of the many reasons we're here right now.
Now, while Vladdy's home run's going to get a lot of ink this morning, Marcy, the run he scored in the 7th inning last night stands out for me. After a wild pitch, he broke for third base, and then on a throwing error by the catcher Cal Raleigh, Vladdy trotted home with that big smile on his face. The last time, remember, the Jays were in the playoffs, Guerrero Jr. was the GOAT for his apathy on the base paths against Minnesota. Well, this is not the same Vladdy, and these, as we're learning game after game after game, are certainly not the same Toronto Blue Jays. A win tonight, and they're through to the first World Series for the organization since Joe Carter touched them all.
How do you like Toronto's chances tonight, given everything that we saw last night? But also the reality is if those, D plays hadn't gone the way they went, right?
Yeah,
the double
that's a great
plays, we
point.
would have had
Yeah.
a very different morning and conversation today.
Oh, yeah.
So what are you thinking tonight?
It's hard not to like them, just on the basis of their home record during the regular season. They were the best in the business on their home soil in the majors. I know they lost the first couple of games of this series at Skydome, but when it mattered most yesterday, with a lot of help from their defense, you're right, they found a way to get it done. Now, tonight is going to be a pitching rematch from Game 3 of this series. George Kirby, who got lit up last time out, against Shane Bieber, who held the Mariners to just a couple of runs over 6 innings. Toronto would happily welcome a repeat performance this evening. So how's Bieber feeling about it?
It means everything. Very excited for the opportunity. I think a culmination of a lot of events and hard work to get to this point. Yeah, I think especially just throughout the playoffs, we've been doing a really good job of passing the baton, so to speak. I'm excited to get out there and get it started.
Interesting choice of words there, Marcy. Happy to get it started. That's because all hands are going to be on the pitching deck tonight. If Kirby falters, Seattle's got Luis Castillo, Bryce Miller waiting in the wings. And if Bieber stumbles, the Jays can bring in Kevin Gausman, Max Scherzer, or anyone else for that matter. It is an elimination game after all.
Yep.
The Jays have only ever played one Game 7 in their history. That was a loss to Kansas City way back in 1985. But of course, history means very little today. Remember, Toronto went on that late run at the end of the regular season, assuring themselves home field advantage in the American League. It felt so meaningful when they were doing it, and this evening we might find out why.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
Can't wait. All right, let's put baseball aside and talk about what else has caught your eye in the sports world.
Well, the Jets, who are looking to continue their strong start to the season tonight, they take a 4-1 record into Calgary to play the Flames. After breaking Blake Wheeler's career scoring record for the 2.0 version of the Jets over the weekend, Marcy, Mark Scheifele is going to set his sights now on the late, great Dale Howardchuk's mark for most of any Jet of any incarnation. Scheifele has 116 points to go. Golf, Englishman Tommy Fleetwood won the India Open yesterday, and he says the best bit was that his 8-year-old son Frankie got to run out on the final green to celebrate with him.
So we were at home last week and we were driving the buggy. I think we were playing golf together, and he just said randomly, he said, "Hey, do you know what you've never done?" So you've never won a tournament, and then I've been able to run onto the 18th green. And I was like, I'm writing that down. So I had that written down all week, like all day today. Had in my mind, could I put myself in a position where I can actually make that moment happen? So it's just one of those little things. It means a lot to me. That was really cool. That's what I wanted to do all day.
Yeah, plenty of uplifting stories now. Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Let those uplifting stories continue tonight. First pitch is at 7:08 Central Time.
Okay, thanks, Scott.
Okay.
It is coming up to 7:30 in news time. We have been having a really good traffic morning so far. Call us, though, if that's not the case, and you have something to update. The commuter line is 788-3093. Still ahead. The city of Winnipeg needs to expropriate 78 properties before it can do the expansion of Kenniston Boulevard and rebuild the bridges in St. James. To help us break down what rights homeowners have and how the process of expropriation works, we're going to have actually a lawyer who specializes in expropriation and land rights coming up here for a conversation in the next half hour of Information Radio. I know when we were covering Kenniston last week, a lot of people you put your head up and go, oh, could that happen to me if, the city needs my land to build something? It sure could. So stay tuned. That's coming up after your 7:30 news.
This is CBC News. Good morning. I'm Heather Wells in Winnipeg at 7:30. We've got rain. Open those umbrellas. We're expecting 10 to 15 millimeters. A bit of a breeze. It's going to ease up this afternoon, and our temperature steady near 7. A Winnipeg family with loved ones trapped in Gaza has been waiting nearly 2 years to bring them to Canada. Hafsa Abuasi and Walid Jad applied for temporary resident visas for Abuasi's parents and siblings under Canada's Special Measures Program for Palestinian refugees. They started the process in January 2024 when applications opened, but they have been stuck at the security screening phase for more than a year. Jad says it's nearly impossible to get fingerprints and photos taken when there are no biometrics offices in Gaza. Border closures have made offices in Egypt and Jordan inaccessible.
We always contact them and we get the same answer. We can't get anyone out before they do the biometrics, and they can't do biometrics in Gaza, which is circle the same problem.
Jad says Canada has to do more to help people fleeing war meet biometrics requirements. Anger, injustice, and indignation. That is how one Norway House Cree Nation member says he felt after reading the IIU report into the police shooting of a teenager. 17-year-old Elgin Muskego was shot and killed by an RCMP officer last November after he moved towards police while holding a knife. The Independent Investigations Unit says RCMP acted reasonably in the shooting. Johnny Meikle knew Elgin through a mature student program. He says he was committed to getting his high school diploma, but he also struggled and would have benefited from better mental health supports in the community.
Elgin didn't need a cop with a gun. He needed help long before this even happened. And that help wasn't there.
Meikle hopes others join his call for better federal funding towards wellness, housing, and trauma-based support on First Nations. The head of Doctors Manitoba calls 33 doctors coming from the United States a welcome change. Health Minister Uzoma Eseguera confirmed the news last week. Dr. Nichal Desolé at Doctors Manitoba says Manitoba has had record low numbers of doctors per capita compared to other provinces. But Doctors Manitoba led a recruitment campaign in several states after the 2024 U.S. election.
Hopefully the new physicians are seeing this as an opportunity to practice medicine where evidence-based medicine is respected, and they don't have to worry about political interference in their physician-patient relationship.
She says 6 American doctors have arrived or are moving here, and more than 30 are in different stages of exploring the opportunities. And she says the biggest deterrents are Manitoba weather and the distance to rural sites. A silver alert has been issued for an 83-year-old Winnipeg woman. Carol Thompson was last seen in Westwood around 11:30 Sunday morning. She's 5'8", has a thin build, short gray hair, and blue eyes, wearing glasses. She was last seen wearing black pants, black shoes, and driving a 2013 red Hyundai Santa Fe Manitoba plate GPC 959. Winnipeg police say they are concerned for her well-being. If you've seen her or know anything about where she might be, call police. A growing number of European countries are raising objections to a meeting being proposed in Hungary between U.S. President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin. Europe's foreign policy chief says Putin should not be visiting any EU country. Putin faces an arrest warrant from the IIC, and while Hungary is still a member of the International Criminal Court, it is in the process of withdrawing. Well, the Toronto Blue Jays, as we've been telling you this morning, are 1 win away from going to the World Series. Last night, the Jays beat the Seattle Mariners 6-2 in a crucial Game 6 of the American Championship Series. In a post-game on-field interview, Jays star Vladdy Guerrero Jr. was asked if he's ready.
If you ask me if I'm ready, I born ready. I born ready, and I want it all for this city.
Game 7 goes tonight. I hope he gets it all for his city. Game 7 tonight, just after 7 Central Time. The winner will face the LA Dodgers in the World Series starting Friday night. Mixed reaction to plans for next month's Grey Cup halftime show.
It sounds cliche, but tell me, would you wait for me? Baby, I'm a rolling stone.
American rapper, Grammy-nominated star MGK is headlining the show. Machine Gun Kelly is formerly how you would know him. Some say his performance could draw more viewers, potentially creating new CFL fans. Brian Cooper is visiting from BC to watch this week's Blue Bomber game.
This is the Canadian Football League. There's distinctive rules to the play. It represents a Canadian vibe, and having a Canadian artist would have been a win. I think they could have been done better.
Canadian rock band Our Lady Peace is performing the kickoff show, and Manitoba's Katie St. Germain will sing the anthem. You can find more news updated throughout the day at cbc.ca/Manitoba.
All right, thanks, Heather.
Thank you.
Heather Wells in our news center live this morning. It's time for our regional forecast now. For Monday, here's Abby.
Good morning once again. We got rain across southern Manitoba with some breezy conditions to go with that. We're looking at 10 to 15 millimeters of rain before the sky clears overnight. Winnipeg still at 7, light rain already. That continues through the day. We just hold steady at this 7 degrees for today. Similar conditions in the Pembina Valley region, temperatures around 7 with rain. Brandon towards Nipawin, rain also there. That should end, and then we'll see a mix of sun and clouds later. In the Parkland region, Dauphin is also seeing periods of rain. That should taper off later. You see your temperatures hover around 6 degrees. Gimli, 7. That will be your condition for the day. Rain this morning, clearing later. Northern part of the province, we're looking at 4 degrees around the par. Flim Flom warming up to 5 degrees, a chance of morning showers. Thompson is seeing misty conditions at 1 at this time, warming to 4. And Churchill is at 2 with cloudy skies, and you will get to 3 degrees later. So overall, it's cool and rainy in the south and cloudy and more crisp up north. Winnipeg 7, and we will be at 7 all day with rain.
All right, thanks, Abby.
Thank you.
Corey Funk.
Quiet all morning so far on the commuter line. Haven't heard of any major issues yet. But if you see anything, something going on, you can give me a call on the CBC commuter line. That number, 204-788-3093.
Well, let's go from quiet to something very loud. Northern Manitoba loves their hockey and has a championship-winning MJHL team, the Northern Manitoba Blizzard. What we're listening to are some of the sounds of the Blizzard winning the 2025 Turnbull Cup. CBC Manitoba, though, recently spent some time in the neighboring community of Opaskwayak Cree Nation, where the blizzard used to be based. Sports are a big part of people's lives in that community, but big pieces of infrastructure are often out of commission, something we take for granted here, right, in the South. This has an impact on people's lives there and also on their building of community, as we're about to hear. The CBC's Sarah Sanders was recently up in OCN and is in studio to tell us more about this story that she brought back. Good morning.
Good morning, Marcy.
So tell us about some of the people for this story who you spoke with.
Yeah, so on the first day, I was in OCN. I found myself at the Gordon Lathland Memorial Center, which is the local arena in the community, and I was planning on speaking to players and coaches who were going to be skating that day. And I was told there was supposed to be 2 U15 skates and a Junior B exhibition game in the evening. But all of the skates had been canceled for the day. And as I was sitting in the lobby of the arena, I could look out and the arena was just completely dark, not in use, not ready for play. And Andrea Constant heads up the Minor Hockey Association and sits on the board of directors for the Junior B team. And this situation isn't out of the ordinary.
Being in a northern community, we kind of make do with what we have. And so over the summer, our guys here at the arena have been working on our ice plant, and we were pretty sure that we could meet our goals in getting the ice ready, but lo and behold, it's just not ready. This thing's happening, and they're trying to figure it out. They did their best to make our tryouts happen today, but when we came to the arena this morning, they found that the ice was behaving funny. There's frost on it. There shouldn't be frost on it. So they're not ready for us to be having our tryouts. So we had to let all our U15 skaters co-ed know that our skate won't be happening, even though they're ready to go.
So if you couldn't hear, you could probably hear a little commotion in the background, and that's because there was that ribbon skirt making workshop that I had attended that was happening in the background. So lots of stuff going on there in the community on that day.
But not on the ice.
But not on the ice, exactly. In the lobby, but not on the ice, unfortunately. I was able to get an update from Andrea last week, and she said the closure of the ice was due to equipment failure. The arena has been in need of renovations for years, and the arena is still closed right now and will be for the rest of October, but they're hoping to get back on the ice November 1st with skaters.
What did coaches and players think about the cancellation?
So there were some people who showed up thinking the skates were still happening, and I did get to speak to some players, and they were disappointed and frustrated their ice time had been canceled. Janelle Quiring was outside of the empty locker rooms, and she coaches the U15 girls team.
We definitely have to adapt in different ways. Like, I think we have rented the ice at the Roy H at 4:15 today, so we have to use our neighboring community. Just doing other things like keeping the kids engaged. Like, maybe now with the ice problems, we might have to include dry land training and just teamwork building that in those types of ways instead of using the ice.
So you heard Janelle mention a new ice time being booked outside of the community in the Paw. So just a hop and a skip over the bridge there. And that booking was done by Brylan Beardy, a player with the U15 boys team and the co-captain of the team. Brylan is born and raised in OCN, and this was a way for him to help his team.
So we can have a good practice as a team and get ready for the new upcoming games this new season.
And despite these early season challenges, Brylan said he's looking forward to making new friends and having a good season.
Now, hockey is obviously not the only sport in OCN that people play. I know you were out at another game, so who did you meet at that one?
So yes, on a chilly but sunny morning, I spent some time at the soccer field at Oscar Lathland Collegiate. The varsity girls soccer team was playing in the Zone 11 AA playoffs, and I caught up with some students while I was at the soccer game. One of them was Joni McNabb, a grade 11 student at Oscar Lathland, and she's a volleyball player and plays with the school's team, and I got to ask her how the sport helps her.
Volleyball helps me keep up with my schoolwork and to know that I could be able to go on trips and stuff like that.
And Joni is interested in science and wants to try and go away for school and play volleyball there as well.
What does OCN need more of in terms of, when it comes to sports and recreation? Because we can hear how important this is to young people there.
So yeah, as I mentioned, the community is struggling to keep facilities up and running. We spoke about the hockey rink that is not in use right now, and the Junior B team has had to start their season on the road actually because of that. And Delaney McIntyre helps coach the varsity girls soccer team. I had a chance to speak with her, and she said the maintenance of the few fields in the community are an issue. They only only have a few usable fields in the community, and some of them don't even have nets. And the Opaskwayak Minor Hockey Association has been meeting because enrollment numbers are down. Players are looking to nearby communities to play hockey, and in the meantime, they've been hosting skates at the Roy H. Johnston Arena in the Paw. But Andrea, as we heard, the head of the Minor Hockey Association, is not giving up. She believes in this community and even came back after moving away for school and to start a family. And she brought some of what she learned with her.
For me, my background, I know that it takes grants, it takes proposals, it takes investment from the corporate level to the business level to the just local grassroots level. We just need to build awareness that Opaskwayak Cree Nation, we're important. Our children are important, and they want to have fun, exciting things to do. So that investment would say, yes, you're worth something. You're worth just the same person in a urban community, and let's build something in the north so that these children will not only have something to do in their daily lives, but also see, okay, I'll also stay here and build my family and not want to leave my own local community. And I'll come back even after going and get an education and bring those opportunities here so that it's everlasting.
Thanks for bringing this to us today. I know that, we talk so much about the importance of sport in small communities all over the place. And it's something that we often talk about after the fact, but not when things are going well, and sort of to understand that they have a facility. So on paper, it looks like everything's fine, but to hear, how often it's, out of use because they can't keep the maintenance up is important to people.
Yeah, I could hear it in, like, you could just hear the disappointment, especially in Andrea's voice, because she wanted to make this happen so bad. And I've been trying to keep up with the community, and so they moved their dryland training kind of into the community. So that's how they were keeping kids involved in stuff like that. Trying to keep them engaged as much as possible. And yeah, it was just disappointing to hear when I reached out to Andrea just to get a little update, because we've been out of the community for a couple of weeks now, and for her to mention that the board was kind of coming together in almost an emergency situation to have those conversations because kids are looking outside of the community to keep playing sports.
Yeah, kids want to play.
Exactly.
Thanks, Sierra.
Thank you.
Sierra Sanders, an associate producer for CBC Manitoba, talking about a story that she collected when we were up in Opaskwayak Cree Nation. Well, the other initiative up there that's trying to engage young people is engaging them through music. And Kenny Henderson, who is a low-budget rock star, a.k.a. low-budget rock star, is actually on tour of a whole bunch of different communities across northern Manitoba, although this week he's going to be in Winnipeg with some of his new music. He's from OCN. He uses his music to try to inspire young people to choose, as he puts it, make the positive choices in life and stay on the right paths. And we thought we'd play a little bit of him. So this is Low Budget Rockstar on CBC and Sunglasses.
You know I've been cut deep. Each scar tells a story. Lost in the serenade. The beauty is astounding. Yeah, perfect imperfections, beautifully broken. Baby, what you hiding? Take your sunglasses off, girl. Won't you let me see inside your heart? Your eyes tell a story. Show me who you really are. Take your sunglasses off, girl. Come on, come on, come on. Like you, I've been cut deep. Each song tells a story. I know we've been drinking. We don't have to say sorry. Perfect imperfections, beautifully broken. Baby, what you hiding? Take your sunglasses off, girl. Won't you let me see inside your heart? Your eyes tell a story. Show me who you really are. Take your sunglasses off, girl. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Sun has set, take
Low-budget rock star Kenny Henderson fronting that group. They are created in Winnipeg, and they're going to be doing a series of different shows across different First Nations to communities across northern Manitoba. And he, of course, from OCN.
I'm Suresh Das. I've spent my career writing about the local favorites that make Canada's food scene truly unique. I bit into a chili. Woo! From vibrant street food to comforting traditional dishes.
The most important ingredients in jollof rice, love.
To innovative, personal twists.
Butter chicken lasagna. Butter chicken lasagna. That's what made it all happen.
I believe every bite tells a story. Now, I want to share those stories with you.
New series Locals Welcome with Suresh Das. Watch free on CBC Gem.
Coming up on CBC's Information Radio after 8 o'clock, if you're juggling children at home and caring for aging parents, then you're part of the sandwich generation. We are going to have a panel of two families on the show after 8 to talk about what the realities of doing that kind of care is like for them. And this is on the heels of our stories about home care and some challenges people are having across Manitoba with accessing timely home care. So what's it like for families here right now? That's coming up after 8. Right now, speaking of families, the City of Winnipeg plans to move forward with the Kenaston Boulevard expansion, pending funding coming through from the feds in the province, shovels in the ground in 2027. This would make major upgrades to Route 90 from Taylor to Ness. That means expanding the road to 6 lanes from 4 and adding active transportation pathways along the route. It would also replace both spans of the St. James Bridge. But to do it, the city says it needs 78 properties in the area. They've been identified for full or partial takings for the project. Many homeowners now remain in limbo, uncertain about whether they'll need to leave their homes or what kind of compensation they'll receive. Last week, as part of our show looking at this project, I spoke to Carol Stiles, who lives on Carpathia Road, street east of Kenaston. The city's been talking about expropriating her home since the early 2000s.
Really challenging. Before we did put an addition on, but we did that assessment, make or buy. Do we move? Do we uproot? Do we find something that we could live with close by, or do we, take the risk and roll the dice and put an addition on? And the lawyer assured us that the city has to make you whole, meaning that whatever I carry as a mortgage, I should not be further in debt as a result of having been expropriated.
About the legalities of expropriation and what rights homeowners have. We're joined by James Mercury, who's a partner in the law firm MLT Aikens. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
So if we start with the basics, like what is expropriation? How does it actually work and come up?
Well, expropriation is a power that the City of Winnipeg has under the City of Winnipeg Charter, and it's also a power that municipalities have under the Municipal Act, and it is used by the city in instances where they require land for typically an infrastructure project. But it's important to note that expropriation is not the default when properties are required. Typically, the City of Winnipeg will reach out to homeowners or property owners and attempt to negotiate a voluntary acquisition. And in circumstances, of course, when they can't agree on appropriate compensation, that's when they will exercise the power of expropriation.
Does the reason matter? Or can you take the land for anything?
No, it has to be for municipal purposes, so it has to be approved by City Council. That said, the power of expropriation is fairly broad, so in terms of what constitutes a municipal purpose, that's given fairly wide latitude. So if we're talking about the Kenaston project in particular, that's certainly something that would qualify as a project where the city could exercise its rights of expropriation.
I just want to go back to what you said. Why would someone voluntarily say, sure, go ahead, take the house? What's the difference between that and what you're saying, going through the court for expropriation?
Well, expropriation process can be long, it can be stressful, and in my experience, what the City of Winnipeg representatives will do will reach out to property owners and have a discussion, and they should be transparent about the project, the timing of it, and attempt to negotiate a resolution in advance. That's always advisable because you control the process to an extent. If an expropriation goes forward, it's inherently uncertain, it's very costly, it's very stressful, and it's costly in particular for the City of Winnipeg to initiate expropriation, they're required to ensure that the property owner receives full fair market value. They're to ensure that they receive compensation for any other losses they may sustain. And if they can't agree, ultimately, it would have to go to a hearing.
Mm-hmm.
The city bears all of the costs associated with that. And the result is unknown.
So let me ask you about what full fair market value means, because Carol's language there, Carol Stiles, was that she understood they have to make you whole. So there's market value on their home. And then there's the land. It's the fact that, these folks live in like the middle of River Heights or John Franklin, which is an up and coming area still now. There's lots of infill and values are going up. Do they have to give you a space in the same neighborhood? And market value when negotiations began on a project like this 10 years ago, or 15, or in the moment they're coming into you and saying, we want your house?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Typically, the market value is only one element of the compensation that a landowner will receive, and it's any other incidental expenses associated with that. So when we're talking about a homeowner, typically the date of valuation is the date of actual expropriation. So formally the declaration of expropriation. So hypothetically, if the city expropriated, for example, in 2 months from now, that would be your date of valuation for fair market value. But the residential owner is entitled to receive at least market value. They are also entitled to be put into a home that is at least as equivalent to what they had. Typically, that's in the same neighborhood, but sometimes, depending on availability, that's not possible. They're also entitled to all of their moving costs, reasonable moving costs, relocation expense. They're entitled to an amount for the inconvenience of having to deal with that.
Okay.
There may be other expenses as well.
So this is interesting because the city, because it's been on the books for so long, this project on and off the books, and lots of consultations already and open houses, the city already took over some properties. Like Carol has some neighbors sort of across the way that they sold already. The city took some property already. If you're a current property owner, though, are you not better to hold out? Because if your market value is only going to go up in the future, why would you give up your house right now?
Yeah, it very much depends on what the city has negotiated with those other property owners. Unless you're privy to those discussions, you don't know necessarily what has been paid. Every owner is different, I'll say that. Some just don't want any part of the uncertainty and would be it's more preferable for them to deal with the city on a voluntary basis and sell the land and move on with their lives. Others, if they're not receiving what they feel is the property is worth, they're fully within their rights to hold on and negotiate for what their property is worth and what it's going to cost to relocate themselves and their families to some other home.
James, is it typical for a timeline like this? We hear from residents on that Kennis area who said they've been left in limbo with no clear timeline for years and years. Is that normal in these kinds of projects that are this large?
It's not uncommon. I'll say there are many, many projects kind of on the books, not only in the city of Winnipeg, but outside of the city borders, where there are infrastructure upgrades, of long-term planning, and landowners are aware that projects are coming, and it's very, very difficult for them to make decisions about what they do with their property. It's very difficult in many instances for them to sell their property because prospective buyers coming in are also aware of that uncertainty. In a project of this nature, in the Kenniston project, it is, I'm not sure what the last numbers were in terms of the budget, but city, as I understand, is simply waiting to ensure it has sufficient funding for this project. And it's been on the books for many years. So unfortunately for all of the residential property owners in the area, it does create a cloud of uncertainty, and it creates a state of unknown.
Yeah, the number is 757 million now. Just last briefly, I want to ask you if someone else is listening anywhere in the city, and maybe they weren't even aware that something like this could happen. It's just part of what can happen as a city develops. But what would be the first thing a homeowner that's facing potential expropriation should do?
Well, the first thing I would advise is just to engage with the city or engage with your local representative and try to understand the timelines, try to understand when this is going to occur, what are some of the options available, and keep that open dialogue. In terms of getting into the actual negotiations of acquiring land, make sure you fully understand what your rights are under the legislation. Make sure if you have a home, make sure it's properly appraised. If the city is making an offer to you with respect to potential acquisition, make sure you understand your legal rights.
Know your numbers. Know your research.
Know your numbers.
We'll have to leave it there this morning, James. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you.
James Mercury, partner at the law firm MLT Aikens. Let's go to Heather with headlines.
A Norway House Cree Nation member is calling the report by the police watchdog into the shooting death of a teenager an injustice. The IIU says RCMP acted reasonably in the shooting of 17-year-old Elgin Muskego. He was shot after moving towards officers with a bread knife in Norway House last November. We're going to hear more community reaction coming up in our next local news at 8:30.
Fire trucks in the curb lane on eastbound Nairn right now, right outside the McDonald's. Keep left. It's slowing things down. Chris called the commuter line. You can too, 788-3093. World Report's coming up next here on CBC.
Today on Q. Long Long is one of the most influential classical pianists in the world. He's been on Time's list of the 100 most influential people. He's got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. He'll be here to talk about his new record, reimagining some of the most famous pieces in classical music, and his thoughts on AI in music.
It's not perfect, it just doesn't make wrong notes.
Q with Tom Power, this morning at 10:30 in Newfoundland, and on CBC Listen, or wherever you get your podcasts. The CBC News is next. Coming up in half an hour, it's The Current with Matt Galloway.
Remember landlines? Just one option that some parents are looking at to keep their kids away from smartphones and social media, and they're trying to get other parents and kids to buy in on that project. That's coming up on The Current.
This is World Report. Good morning. I'm Marcia Young. The immigration processing times are reaching heights in Canada that some people are calling shocking. It can be decades for some programs. As the CBC's Priscilla Kisong Huang reports, there is concern the government may start cancelling applications.
We were shocked.
Olha Kushko's family applied for permanent residence this June under Canada's humanitarian and compassionate program. Her family fled the Russia-Ukraine war to Canada in 2023, and they're ready to settle. But last week, they were among thousands who learned their processing time skyrocketed to more than 10 years, compared to around 2 years when they first applied.
I don't know how it's possible. I just hope that it's a big mistake.
But the new immigration minister, Lena Diab's transition documents paint a bleaker picture. For the humanitarian stream, new applicants face a wait of up to 50 years. And waits range from 19 to 35 years for other economic pathways. The minister's office says those numbers are not an error.
It's crazy.
Some lawyers suspect these unviable wait times, paired with the Liberals' pending border security bills like Bill C-12, which grant the minister sweeping powers, may lead to mass cancellations by the government of applications already in queue. Immigration lawyer Stephen Mearns.
And for it to just balloon to 50 years is unheard of in the Canadian immigration context. Part of why they may be being quiet about it is because the solution involves Bill C-12, and they know the panic and reaction that will cause.
To that, the minister's spokesperson Laura Blondo said,
"Well, we can't presuppose any future policy decision."
The immigration department told CBC the Kushko's wait time is approximately 10 years, leaving them helpless and worried for what comes next. Priscilla Kisan Huang, CBC News, Ottawa.
A court in Scotland has ordered the extradition of 3 men to stand trial in Canada. The trio is charged in the killing of an Owen Sound, Ontario restaurant owner. Sharif Rahman died outside his business in the summer of 2023. Robert Evans allegedly punched Rahman after being confronted over an unpaid bill. Evans, along with his father and uncle, will stand trial on charges including manslaughter and being accessories after the fact. Court documents show the men had allegedly entered Canada using fake passports. Israel says aid is resuming to Gaza following an outbreak of violence this weekend. Trucks line up this morning at the Rafah border crossing, loaded with food, medicine, and other emergency aid. The UN's Palestinian Refugee Agency says some deliveries have resumed, but the agency says that aid is well below what's needed. The U.S. President's son-in-law and Middle East advisor, Jared Kushner, says helping Gazans is good policy for Israel. He spoke to CBS show 60 Minutes.
The biggest message that we've tried to convey to the Israeli leadership now is that now that the war is over, if you want to integrate Israel with the broader Middle East, you have to find a way to help the Palestinian people thrive and do better.
Kushner and U.S. Envoy Steve Witkoff are back in the region today. Observers say U.S. pressure is needed to keep the ceasefire deal on track. Hundreds of workers who oversee the nuclear stockpile in the U.S. are being sent home due to the ongoing government shutdown. Some experts are criticizing the move. They say many of these workers are essential to the safety and security of U.S. nuclear facilities. The CBC's Willie Lowry is following the story in Washington. And Willie, how will this furlough affect operations?
Well, everything will slow down. In its 25-year history, the National Nuclear Security Administration, a semi-autonomous organization under the Department of Energy, has never had to furlough workers, making this uncharted territory. The organization is in charge of modernizing the country's nuclear stockpile. Any delay in work slows down that process. The NNSA is sending 80% of its workers home. That's a big number. According to Politico, some 375 employees who have been deemed essential will stay on the job, but the furloughs have many lawmakers concerned.
These are not employees that you want to go home. They're managing and handling a very important strategic asset for us. They need to be at work and being paid.
That was Republican Representative Mike Rogers from Alabama. Secretary of Energy Chris Wright is expected to address the staffing changes and their impact on national security later today.
Willie, we also understand there's a push to pay the troops during the shutdown.
That's right. There are reports that Republicans are hoping to table a bill this week that would allow the government to pay some federal workers who are required to work even though the government is shut down. That would include members of the U.S. military. Last week, President Trump signed an order allowing the Pentagon to pay soldiers on October 15th using money from the Defense Department's research and development funds. But as the shutdown drags on, there will be fewer funds to draw from, and paying the troops will get harder. Later today, the Senate is expected to vote once again on the continuing resolution bill that, if passed, would fund the government for the next 7 weeks. They'll need 60 votes.
Thank you, Willie.
My pleasure.
The CBC's Willie Lowry in Washington. People in Bolivia have voted to end 20 years of socialist rule. They've elected a center-right president who is promising to fix the country's economic problems. Corey Weddle has more.
The center-right candidate prevailing in Bolivia's presidential elections, 58-year-old Senator Rodrigo Paz, defied polls to beat conservative veteran Jorge Tuto Quiroga. Bolivians have taken a first step towards transformation and renovation, he told supporters. For 2 decades, the country has been ruled by the Socialist MAS party, whose candidate failed to reach 4% of the vote in the first round of the election last August. Among the issues, a deepening economic crisis that has led to shortages of money and fuel. Paz says he hopes Bolivia will now be able to improve relations with other countries. After 20 years of being left out of the world economy and geopolitics, Bolivia would rejoin the world, Paz told his supporters. Paz portrayed himself as a more moderate option during the campaign in an attempt to appeal to disaffected Socialist Party voters who remain skeptical of the right. His running mate is a former police captain who ran a savvy social media campaign strong on law and order. Paz is now faced with leading the first democratic transition of power in decades. Carlos Casas, a Paz supporter, says his candidate is best suited to lead a peaceful transition. Cody Weddle for CBC News, La Paz, Bolivia.
Some European foreign leaders are raising objections to a proposed meeting between U.S. President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin in Hungary. Europe's foreign policy chief says Putin should not be visiting any EU country. Lithuania's foreign minister says the only place in Europe for Putin is the International Criminal Court in The Hague. Putin faces an arrest warrant from the ICC. Hungary is still a signatory, but is in the process of leaving. There is a new trend emerging in the Canadian oil patch. As Paula Duhatschek reports, more investment is flowing in, and it's coming from south of the border.
U.S. investors are getting more interested in the Canadian oil patch.
And Priyal Manyar would know. She's an investment analyst based in Baltimore and says the trend started picking up about a year ago. Manyar says the Trans Mountain pipeline expansion has meant more export capacity for Canadian oil and more optimism about the sector. The pipeline runs from Alberta to the BC coast. Jeremy McCrae with BMO Capital Markets thinks the shift is also linked to a change of leadership in Ottawa. Prime Minister Mark Carney pledging to make Canada an energy superpower.
There is a bit of a change of tone that is making investors a little bit more comfortable coming into Canada.
McCrae says there's been an uptick in interest from U.S. firms and a bit of a dip from Canadian investors. Brian Schmidt, CEO of Tamarack Valley Energy, says some investors on this side of the border have pulled out of oil and gas for climate reasons.
But I don't see that in the United States.
David Samra, a portfolio manager based in Boston, says for him, it's just about dollars and cents.
These companies have decades of cash flow generation ahead of them.
Much of Canada's oil production happens in the oil sands, where facilities are expensive to build, but can run for years without a lot of new capital spending.
And as a result, these companies will continue to churn out cash over the next 30 to 40 years.
It's not clear yet where the trend will go next, but CEOs say they're also seeing more interest from investors in Europe and Asia. Paula Duhatschek, CBC News, Calgary.
And that is the latest national and international news from World Report News Anytime, cbcnews.ca. I'm Marcia Young.
Good morning, everyone. How's your Monday going so far? A little wet out there? It is raining in parts of Manitoba, including Winnipeg. Thanks for joining us here on Information Radio on CBC. You're on 89.3 FM, 990 AM on the app and on YouTube. Well, I'll tell you who's probably already up. People who are part of the sandwich generation. That's because you're juggling a lot. Aging parents and children and caring for them. If that sounds familiar, then this half hour is for you. We're going to meet a family that is doing that, and we're talking about all of this because we've been looking at home care in the province, and it started us down the path of understanding what's needed from Manitoba families and where those gaps are. So we're going to do a special series of conversations this week on the show, starting with one Manitoba family. Also this half hour, everyone's talking about the Jays, and why not? Tonight, they could punch their ticket to the World Series. Superstition and sports fit together like a hand in a baseball glove. We're going to find out about some of the game day rituals and lengths that people go to keep their superstitions intact. So a bit of a fun item. Right now, though, at 8:11, let's go to Heather Wells. She joins us with other news headlines and stories. Good morning, Heather.
Good morning. Well, some Manitobans have been waiting for Canada to approve temporary visas for family members fleeing the war in Gaza, and they've been waiting for nearly 2 years. The federal government started a special measures program in January 2024. It allows Canadian citizens or permanent residents to bring over extended family under temporary resident visas, but there has been a holdup. We'll hear more. And the head of Doctors Manitoba calls 33 doctors coming from the United States a welcome change. Dr. Nichelle Desolé says they led a recruitment campaign in several states after the 2024 U.S. election. We'll hear the results of that campaign in our next local news coming up at 8:30.
All right. Thank you, Heather.
Thank you.
Let's get into this wet forecast. Abby.
The wipers are on, Marcy. Rainy Monday across the southern part of the province. Once the system sweeps through, we should be seeing about 10 to 15 millimeters of rain in this part of the province. And some winds will come with that. Though the northern part of the province just staying more like cloudy and calm for now. Light rain in Winnipeg, 7 degrees. That's what we'll see through the day, easing overnight, and then we'll see our temperatures cool to around 3 degrees, but we will be holding steady around 7 today. Similar conditions we're seeing in the Pembina Valley region all the way down to the Interlake and the Parkland region. We're seeing temperatures hover between 7 and 8 degrees now, and that's where most of the regions will hold. Up north, we're seeing 4 degrees and 2 degrees. Misty conditions in Thompson at this time. Most of those regions will warm up to between 3 and 5 degrees. But right now, Winnipeg, 7, and it's already raining outside.
All right. Thanks, Abby.
Thank you.
Corey, you do have some traffic issues right now to tell us about.
Yes. Earlier, we mentioned that there's fire trucks on eastbound Nairn outside the McDonald's. Now heard that those fire trucks are now clear, but that McDonald's is closed. I heard from a caller. As well, just a couple things to keep an eye out for. Northbound Pembina, Margaret says that when you try to turn onto Stafford there, you lose your right lane to construction, and that's causing a bit of a bottleneck as folks still try to get on to Stafford. So very slow going northbound Pembina. As well, northbound Lage between Abinogi-Mikana and Fermor, also very slow due to construction this morning as well, says Natasha. If you see anything else though going on out there, give me a call on the CBC commuter line. That number, 204-788-3093.
8:13 is the time right now, and up next on CBC. Home care frustrations have been an issue for seniors in our province, and recently CBC reported on some of the challenges with Manitoba's home care system and some of the solutions being put forward. But with an aging population, it's prompted some conversations about what some family members might face when they're taking care of their own elderly parents at home. So enter the sandwich generation, made up of people who care for both their parents and their own children. And in some cases, they're still working full-time jobs. According to Statistics Canada, 86% of sandwich caregivers, as they call them, say that their care responsibilities have affected at least one aspect of their health and well-being. Mitzi Manako is with us in studio. She takes care of both her 80-year-old mother and her 10-year-old daughter at home right now. And I should say that this is a sign of a busy family. They're both here actually in our control room watching the interview. She has brought her mother to Canada from the Philippines so she could provide her better care. But she says it is a challenge, and she's here to talk about some of those realities. Good morning.
Good morning.
So first, Mitzi, let's talk about why you do it. Is this, it's a challenge we'll talk about, but it must also be rewarding. There must be so much love there.
It is, like for taking care of your parents, it's rewarding for us as well. Because especially right now, like not most of the generation right now has their own mom. Actually, I still have my grandma. Her mom is still alive as well. So yeah, and there are still like challenges that we're facing as well regarding taking care. But then I want to show this to my daughter as well, because it's a Filipino culture, close family ties. And even though they're already elderly, we really wanted them to be with us as well, as long as we can take care of them. And also and I want this to share with my daughter. So later on, hopefully, she can do it as well to me and to my husband. Hopefully.
Yeah. So there's that cultural piece to it. Like when you brought your mother to Winnipeg from the Philippines in 2019, as I said, to care for her at home, that was part of your decision making. Like, did you think about a nursing home or a care home at all?
No, it's not. Actually, because that's why I really wanted to get her as well before she's coming here as a tourist. But then it's so really if she gets sick here and if she's tourist, like the medication and everything, it's not free, right? So that's why I really wanted to get here as a permanent resident. So the healthcare will gonna help her as well. And also all my siblings are here already in Canada, so no one's in the Philippines with her already. So I don't want to be like letting her by herself in the Philippines that no one's taking care of her. So that's why I really wanted to get her here in time. Yeah.
How is it compared to how you thought it would be? Because you probably thought this might be a little bit challenging, but what's it like? How busy is your house?
Me, I'm working as a full-time. My husband's working full-time as well, and my daughters go to school. So, like, on scheduling, we have to juggle it, me and my husband. So, good thing I have my husband, which is so supportive. If, like, for appointment kind of stuff, like a doctor's appointment, vision, dental, everything. So, you have to schedule for my daughter, for my mom's schedule, because, for example, like we're working Monday to Friday. So mostly doctor's appointments falls on the weekdays. So we have to juggle that one. So either early morning or afternoon with my husband. If it's early morning, I can bring them to their appointment. If it's afternoon, my husband can bring them in their appointment as well. So we have to juggle our schedule as well.
How important is it that you have accommodating workplaces? Because sometimes things come up.
It is. So that's why I'm so lucky. That's why I can I can ask them, like, if I have an appointment, I have my mother's appointment, my daughter's appointment. I'm happy that they always give this opportunity as well to give this time. But then I'm working like I'm covering those times as well anyway. So it's not just like I'm leaving at work and after that I'll just gonna leave. No, I still have to cover those missing hours. Yes.
Got it. So it's not like they're accommodating you and saying this is care time that you can have. You're working the hours. You're just splitting it up.
Yeah. But they're
flexible.
Yes, it's up to me anyway. If of course it's a work, and I don't want to be like gonna be lots on my plates, kind of. At least it will lessen as well on my plates too. So.
What is stressful about it for you? What's hard about it?
Financially, of course. Well, let's be honest as well, right? Because that's why I only have one child. So, like here in Canada, like you have to be financially stable as well to you can give everything to your family. Right. Although at least I can, we're still giving. I can. Me and my husband still providing whatever they needs anyway. But then there's still lots of challenges as well, in terms of financially, time kind of stuff. So yeah, those are the things that.
Financially, and I guess if your mom were to get to a point where more assistance was needed, like I'm not sure right now with your mom at 80 how her health is. Like, do you need home care to come in, or do you have that? Or
so far, she's not a burden with us. Like, she's still helping us actually cooking. Her memories are still sharp. So it's not really that she needs to be like a home care kind of stuff, and she doesn't like there.
Yeah. Got it. You're doing that piece.
Yes.
How worried are you in the future, though, if her health were to decline? What would you hope would be there in terms of services to help?
By that time, probably, like my husband is here anyway. So as much as we can work on our schedule, we're gonna do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
you'll push it right to the end.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you confident, though, if you did need help from the government, that the systems are there in place that could support you being part of, this busy family situation you have?
Probably later on, if I really need it. Probably I'm gonna need it. But for now, I guess we're still fine anyway. And just like I mentioned that. We're still working everything anyway, and we're trying our best to provide whatever she needs, whatever they need. My family need it. So as long as they're happy and no complaint yet. Yeah.
What's been the most joyful thing to watch your daughter and your mother, and what's been awesome about living in a multi-generation household?
Because right now, at least my daughter can see that my mom is here. And she's seeing, because most of her friends doesn't have grandma anymore, and they're telling, "Oh, you still have grandma. You're so lucky." So we're still blessed that I still have my mom here with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming in and for sharing so personally in this way some of what can be challenging but also rewarding about this. Nice to meet you.
Yes, nice to meet you. Thank you, Marcy.
So those are that's a Winnipegger rather talking about her family this morning with us. Mitzi Monaco joining us in studio. Now tomorrow I want to mention that we're going to build this out. So if you're part of that sandwich generation and you want to share with us what it's like for your family, what's rewarding about it, what's challenging about it, what are your needs, what's being missed, what's it like for your mental health trying to juggle all of this. Please weigh in on our listener line, and I'm telling you this for a reason. We have a special guest tomorrow that can help us understand the bigger picture issues that can come with some of this care. So tomorrow we will have CEO, author and CanAge CEO Laura Tamblin-Watts joining us to talk to us a little bit more about sandwich generation and needs across the country. So if you want to weigh in or you have questions, please leave them on our listener line, which is 204-788-3205.
Breaking news happens anywhere, anytime.
Police have warned the protesters repeatedly, get back.
CBC News brings the story to you as it happens.
Hundreds of wildfires are burning.
Be the first to know what's going on and what that means for you and for Canadians.
This situation has changed very quickly.
Helping make sense of the world when it matters most. Stay in the know. CBC News.
So we're all talking about the Blue Jays. Tonight is it. It's their last game of the series. They forced a Game 7 winning last night over Seattle, and they just might punch their ticket. Well, they will punch their ticket if they win the game tonight. Starts around 7 o'clock Winnipeg time. Got us thinking about superstition, right? It's part of so many different sports. For example, when the Toronto Blue Jays were struggling before the playoffs, the team decided to switch hats to the same ones they wore when the Jays won the World Series in the early 90s. Then they went on this win streak, which put them in first place in their division. This morning, CBC's Blair Sanderson asks some other folks about their game day rituals.
Hello. Howdy. You're a sports fan? Yes, I am. I am.
Yes. Yes. All sports, but probably the one I get most into is the World Juniors.
Baseball. Tennis, basketball, hockey. Any superstitions that you follow around those sports?
Embarrassingly, yes. I'm afraid to watch my favorite hockey team, the Habs. Sometimes I feel like if I watch them, it puts a curse on them.
Everyone has to sit in the exact same position throughout the game. So if someone gets up to go to the washroom, they have to go back to the exact seat if your team's winning.
And everybody's on board with this?
Yes, they have to be, or else they can't watch it at my house.
So if I'm sitting on the left of the couch, I have to sit there again. My dad has to sit across the room. We have to stick with whatever's we think helping the team win.
If it's a Canadian team, I'm drinking Canadian beer. Yeah, keep the energy flowing.
Flowing through the beer?
Yeah, that's it.
Like if they score while I'm in the bathroom, I might have to stay in the bathroom.
Talk to me about how that works.
I had one of my friends text me and said to stay in there because they just scored. Yes.
Did you?
Yeah, for a little bit, and then the other team scored, so then I came back up.
Oh, because then you thought, oh, this isn't working.
Yeah.
The spell is broken.
Yes.
So is it possible that mystical forces are at play here?
We'll call it compounding positive energy. So as many Canadians that could be tuned into that process and the positive energy that's flowing at that time, maybe it ups the potential for the team to win. Who knows?
Right. So some vibe coming from you is going into the universe and then funneling into the team.
Why not? I think it's a great way to explain it. Yeah.
What about playing sports yourself? Any superstitions there?
Yeah, I'm a volleyball player. I can't look at the score after we get a point. It has to be after we lose a point.
Even if you're curious about what the score might be, you don't look?
I won't look, no.
Can you ask a teammate?
No, I can't even think about it.
For me personally, I wear my shin pads on opposite sides, so my right on my left and my left on my right.
I didn't realize shin pads had a side.
Yeah, they do for soccer, yep. I accidentally did it one practice and I played really good and I thought may as well keep it going, so now I've been doing it for a while.
How long?
Probably 3 years now.
If I have a good game or we win, I just won't wash my socks and then I'll wear them again the next game, which my teammates probably don't love, but it works.
If I eat something and I play well at that sport, I'm eating that every time. It might be a granola bar only, it might be bananas, but if it worked for me one day, I'll do it the next day.
I think it's personal. Like, it's just a routine that I do. Just helps my head, I guess.
Well, if you're doing something right and you want to keep doing it right, you don't want to change anything.
Exactly. Even if it is superstitiously motivated, once it's there, it's planted. And so if you're superstitious and you engage in superstitious activity and you do better, it can serve as positive reinforcement so that maybe it does work.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Sports superstitions, talking about it because of the Jays struggling before the playoffs, decided to wear the same hats as they did in the early 90s, and that helped them during the season. Seattle Mariners, by the way, fans have one. When they're hoping for more scoring, fans put a shoe on their heads. So maybe you'll see that tonight. And as for the Jays, you might also be wondering, I was wondering this last night, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who's been phenomenal, will often be scrawling in the sand, when he goes up to bat. He's writing Dios, which is the Spanish word for God. So that's what he's doing. So superstition, belief, I don't know. Marjorie Dalhouse is here. You have superstitions around this series with the Jays.
I do. You know what? I wore my Vladdy Guerrero jersey one time during the New York series, and they lost to the Yankees. So I didn't wear it the next game, and the Blue Jays won. And of course, they went on to win the series. So I have decided I'm not going to wear anything Blue Jays. I haven't worn anything blue. I'm not wearing the jersey. I have hats. I'm not wearing the hats. I've decided I'm not going to. And then also in this series with Seattle, I have a little one. And usually his bedtime is around the start of the games. Mm-hmm. So because I have to put him down, I don't actually get to watch the games till about the 5th or 6th inning. And those games where I had to put him down, they won because I tuned in late to the game. So I'm going to start. Tonight,
watching late, not wearing any Jays stuff.
Yes, I'm very superstitious about this, Marcy, because we need to see those Blue Jays move on. What about you?
You know what? I think I make the Bombers lose. I stopped watching Bomber games for a while because I feel like I make them lose every time I watch. It's so stupid, right? Like as if I have any impact on any of this. And when I golf, just personally speaking, I had a really good golf game in this hat. And I did. I found myself the next game going, I want to have a good game. I'm wearing this hat.
There you go.
I don't know why it happens to us, but it does, as you heard.
It's something to do with our minds, maybe our emotions, our psyche, right?
You are here also to talk about your call-in today. So that's between 12:30 and 1. What's your topic?
That's right. Well, Halloween is coming up. So why not talk about what you're going to be dressing up as? We want to hear from you. What was your favorite Halloween costume of all time? If you're dressing up this year, what do you plan on going as? We're going to have a costume expert join us today on Radio Noon to take your questions. Maybe you need some inspiration. Maybe you're trying to find out how best to dress the kids. What's trending out there? How do you buy a costume on a budget? Tune in 12:30, share your story, share experiences, and ask your questions.
Some of my favorite kid ones are the broccoli, like the hat where you put you stitch. I think I've told you this before, where you stitch sort of like wool on top of the hat, and it looks like the kid is like a broccoli bunch. And then I saw this thing online where a kid was dressed like a fart. Like just wearing...
How do you make that happen?
The kid was just wearing a big poof that was like kind of brown color. And that's all they were wearing over their parka, but it was warm. And, it worked. Maybe kind of gross, but they're kids. They're cute.
Exactly. Anything goes when they're that young, right?
No one wants me to call in now. All right, between 12:30 and 1, the call in on Halloween costumes. Check it out. Thank you, Marge.
Thanks, Marcy.
Marjorie Dalhouse is the host of Radio Noon. Let's turn to more serious matters. It's time for your CBC Winnipeg News.
This is CBC News. Good morning. I'm Heather Wells in Winnipeg at 8:30. A little bit of light rain still. It's 7 degrees, and that's pretty much where our temperature will be through the day. We're expecting, though, 10 to 15 millimeters of rain as well. A Winnipeg family with loved ones trapped in Gaza has been waiting nearly 2 years to bring them to Canada. Hafsa Abuasi and Walid Jad applied for a temporary resident visas for Abuasi's parents and siblings under Canada's Special Measures Program for Palestinian refugees. They started that process back in January 2024, but they have been stuck at the security screening phase for more than a year. Jad says it's nearly impossible to get fingerprints and photos taken when there are no biometrics offices in Gaza. Border closures have made offices in Egypt and Jordan inaccessible.
We always contact them and we get the same answer. We can't get anyone out before they do the biometrics, and they can't do biometrics in Gaza, which is circle the same problem.
Jad says Canada has to do more to help people fleeing war to meet biometrics requirements. The head of Doctors Manitoba is pleased the province will soon welcome American doctors. The health minister confirmed last week at least 33 are on their way. Dr. Nicole Desilets says the group is a mixture of family physicians and specialists. Doctors Manitoba led recruitment campaigns in several states since the U.S. 2024 election.
We specifically targeted, as an organization, jurisdictions in the United States where items such as gender-affirming care, medical assistance in dying, those type of things that might be compromised in so-called red states.
6 doctors are moving here already, and at least 33 others are in various stages of exploration. Earlier this year, the College of Physicians and Surgeons annual report showed this province had a net gain of 164 physicians from the year before, with a total number of 3,498 doctors registered in this province. A Norway House Cree Nation member is calling the report by the police watchdog into the shooting death of a teenager an injustice. The Independent Investigations Unit says RCMP acted reasonably in shooting 17-year-old Elgin Muskego. He was shot after moving towards officers with a bread knife in hand in Norway House last November. Johnny Meikle works in harm reduction in that community. He was helping mature students get their high school diplomas and says Elgin was a quiet, consistent student, but had struggles, and the community had been grieving several recent deaths.
It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out. We're under-resourced when it comes to Elgin's situation. He needed more resources. And the reality is we're working with scraps.
He says Norway House still desperately needs trauma-focused wellness supports. A silver alert has been issued for an 83-year-old Winnipeg woman. Carol Thompson was last seen in Westwood around 11:30 yesterday morning. She's 5'8", has a thin build, short gray hair, blue eyes, wears glasses. She was last seen wearing black pants, black shoes, and driving a 2013 red Hyundai Santa Fe Manitoba plate GPC 959. Winnipeg police say they are concerned for her well-being. You can see her photo on our website this morning, and if you've seen her or know anything about where she might be, call police. Mixed reaction to plans for next month's Grey Cup halftime show.
It sounds cliche, but tell me, would you wait for me? Baby, I'm a rolling stone.
American rapper and Grammy-nominated singer MGK is headlining the show. Some of his performance could draw more viewers, potentially creating new CFL fans, is what some say. Brian Cooper, though, visiting from BC to watch this week's Blue Bomber game.
This is the Canadian Football League. There's distinctive rules to the play. It represents a Canadian vibe, and having a Canadian artist would have been a win. I think they could have been done better.
Canadian rock band Our Lady Peace is performing in the kickoff show, and Manitoba's Katie St. Germain will sing the anthem. More than 90% of the tickets for the Grey Cup in Winnipeg next month have already been sold. You can find more news updated throughout the day. Just head to cbc.ca/Manitoba.
All right. Thanks, Heather Wells.
Thank you.
And while we're at thank yous, let's also thank Megan Ketcherson and Joni Nicolo, all in our news center. In addition, want to thank our producers. Nellie Gonzalez produces our current affairs programs, all of them here at CBC Manitoba on the radio, as well as Leif Larson, who's our senior producer of audio at CBC Manitoba. Our live team on INFORAD, Corey Funk, Abby Adiemi, and Darren Marash. Thank you guys for the Monday. And those with items on today's program, associate producers Jenna Badasso, Zabina Ahmed, Sierra Sanders, and our reporter in unit, Jim Agapito. So thanks to everyone for your work on today's show. With a last look at traffic, here's Corey again.
So far, a fairly quiet commute, but just heads up if you're northbound Pembina trying to turn right onto Stafford, you lose your right lane, your turning lane to construction. That's got things pretty slow on northbound Pembina.
All right, thanks, Corey.
Thank you.
And with a last look at the forecast today, here's Abby again.
We got rain in the southern part of the province and some misty conditions up north with cloudy conditions to go with that. We see the south seats around 7 all day and coast about 3 later tonight, some sun tonight, while up north we'll see temperatures climb close to 5 degrees from Thompson, Churchill, and surrounding environment. Winnipeg, we are 7. We sit at 7.
All right. Thanks, Abby.
Thank you.
Well, remember, if you're part of the sandwich generation, if you don't want to call, you can also write to us, radio 893@cbc.ca. But we'd love to hear from you, 788-3205. I think sometimes people don't want to talk about it a lot because it sounds like your family might be a burden, right? Whether you're that elderly generation or your kids, you don't want anyone to feel like that. But there are realities, financial and with services you might need, and also maybe the toll it takes on your mental health, or maybe you need workplace place accommodation. Whatever your story is, if you are willing to share, 788-3205. Tomorrow, we're going to talk to CanAge all about this. I'm Marcy Marcusa. Thanks for being here. The Current's next on CBC.